Welcome to SharePoint Beginner. You're learning with Mo Jones, IT professional and educator. This is what we'll cover today in this course. Whether you are new to SharePoint, whether you have just been exposed to SharePoint, if you will, or maybe you've been using SharePoint for quite some time, but have not really taken a deeper dive into all of the basics. We've got you covered. This is what we'll explore today. We'll start off just by spending a lot of time answering this first question. So why SharePoint Online, and how does it fit with collaborating, communicating, disseminating information, among other things as well. Also, how to get to SharePoint, and what else can we do on SharePoint rather than just accessing files and folders? How does it fit? We'll also take a look at the modern collaboration tools that come with SharePoint Online. We'll spend a lot of time on there as well. And then we'll just have a brief introduction to editing pages. So as a SharePoint owner, you can edit pages so that your members can access more engaging content. As a SharePoint member, just with the basic membership group, you are able to edit the page. So you can add what's called web parts. You may want to add, for example, a news feed to communicate with your team. You may want to incorporate some type of calendar. Or you may just want to, start a book club and add a really nice page where you can just communicate there as well. We'll also take a look at the search feature. There's different levels of search. I like to consider it level 1, level 2, and level 3 searches. SharePoint is a great place to go once you have adopted SharePoint to find files, folders, messages, meetings, sites, and even people as well. So go ahead. I hope that you have a SharePoint site that you can practice on. If not, it's okay. Feel free to pause this recording, rewind there as well. But I will give you some time to just get set up. If you do have a SharePoint site that you can just go ahead and click around on, or maybe even edit as well. Welcome back. Here's our course overview. So this course is for you if you are a member and or a site owner. A site owner is someone who basically creates a site. They either have access to create their own site, add their own content, their own navigation, create a document library, or you may ask your IT department to create a site for you so that you can share that site with your team and be able to collaborate there as well. As a member, typically you are invited to a site and you access the site so that you can access resources and collaborate on the resources and just keep on going from there. You may be asked to access a list, a form, a file, documents within a folder, some type of planning application. So we'll get you covered here as well. So this aims to understand the collaborative features of a SharePoint Online site. We'll also explore communication sites versus team sites. So we'll see the difference between the two. So if you're just learning SharePoint, or if you're familiar with its online features, you will gain an essential understanding from this course. So we will keep it simple. If you are seeing it for the first time, make sure after you complete this course to complete the advanced course as well. Let's take a look at a use case for SharePoint before we dive into the application and start clicking around. In this case, you started a small company. The company has grown. Now you have several departments and you need to improve communication and collaboration across your various staff and all the different departments as well. So this is a good thing. Your company has grown, but you want to use modern communication tools. Well, this is currently how your staff is collaborating and communicating. They're using Microsoft Outlook and they're attaching files and sending messages back and forth. They're using the on-premise file server. They have a P drive that's mapped to their computer and they're pulling files from there as well. Well, there's several problems. This creates a situation where you have multiple versions of the same file in different places. And you have to use additional communication tools to be able to just, you can't just leave a comment on a file. You may pick up the phone and call your colleague. You may send an email or a text. And so we need a solution. And that's where SharePoint comes in. We'll see how SharePoint is a single place for collaboration, or can be a single solution for collaboration. You can manage files effectively, and you'll have interactive integrations as well. So if we were to consider how you are currently communicating, here you go. You'll open up your Outlook. You'll send a message to the team. You'll go ahead and add your subject here. Maybe you'll just say, please review. And then you'll go ahead and attach a file. So I'll browse my computer. And here is my P drive over here. All right, so here's my P drive. And here are the different files that I can attach. So I can say, let's go ahead and review the team expenses. So I'll go ahead and press OK. And then I can go ahead and send this out if I want to. But the problem is that this file has a lot of issues. This file is going to be, once we email this and your recipient works on the file, we're going to have two different versions of this file. And typically what happens is your recipient will make changes, then they have to send the file back to you, and then you have to merge all of those changes together. And then you may need to go ahead and repeat the process again, send the file out over and over and over again. And that's really not the way you want to operate. Instead of doing all that work yourself, what you would prefer to do is to use an existing SharePoint site. So here's a SharePoint site. For now, let's just focus on the document library. So here's the actual document library in here. And you can see we have files in here. We have all the basics that we need. So if I were to go ahead and just send a link or add members to this site, this is an internal website. Here's the link, you're added as a member. We'll see how to get there in just a little bit. But for now, instead of using all the email, we can essentially eliminate the need to attach files and send messages here. I can go ahead and simply just open up this Excel file. So if I click here, this actually opens up right in the browser. It's okay if you don't like the browser, you can actually open this in the desktop application as well. So I can click here and open in desktop, but that's it. Any changes that I make to this file, it will be updated in that specific location. And now look what I can do. I can add comments on the file if I want to, and we can all work on the file at the same time, whether it's 3 of your colleagues or whether it's 10 of your colleagues. So we can leave notes for each other, we can get things done, and we can communicate right here within the file. Typically, once your colleagues start, once they click on the link, you'll see their avatars appear up here, and you can see what they're doing. And again, you can communicate. So that is a much better option than having to go through the process of using a file server and Outlook as well. So that's a major benefit. And it goes beyond that. We have more modern tools that we can use. It goes beyond files and folders. There's a lot of really modern things that we can do as well. And that's what we'll dive into in this course. Let's get started. Let's answer the question, how do we actually get to SharePoint? Well, there's several ways. We can get there from the app launcher. Most of the times you'll receive a link. You can also get there from any Office desktop application as well. So let's take a look at how we can get to SharePoint. Now, if I go ahead, I'm going to open up my email here. So here's my email, and you can see typically this is what you'll receive, an email. And this basically says that you can go ahead and access either the site by clicking on the link. So here's a link to the site. If you hover over the link, you'll see the actual URL. You'll see the first point there is sharepoint.com with the name of your organization on the front end. So I can access the home site from there, or you may just want to go ahead and access the actual file. So here's the actual link that you'll click on. I'll click here first to head on over to the SharePoint home site. So if I click here, and here is the home page. So now I can access all the resources, the OneNote notebook, the document library, and any other contents that are on here as well. And I'll go back. So that's one way. Now, what if I just want to be able to jump into the file, a specific file? I'll go ahead and click here. So this file lives on that SharePoint site. And this will open up right here in Microsoft Word for me. So this is a getting started guide for managing a project. And I'm good to go. We'll see a little later. If you don't like the web interface, you can use the desktop application to make changes or to view the file here as well. So those are two quick ways. So again, typically you're working from a link that someone sends to you. You are already granted access to either that site or that library or that folder or that file. And this allows you to access that resource there as well. How else can we get to SharePoint? Let's take a look at how we can access from the actual app launcher. So if I go back here, I'm using Outlook Online. You can see this is the web version. And on the top left here, we can see we have the app launcher. So if you're using OneDrive or Teams, you can click on the app launcher here and you can take a look at the apps. So I'll go ahead and click here. Once I click on there, I can see SharePoint appear right here on the actual app launcher. So I can click here and this brings me to SharePoint Home. So this is SharePoint Home. Here's the icon for the SharePoint start page. And once right here, this is the landing space. So we can see all the sites that I have access to. Now, what you have access to is what you will see. So your colleague may have more or fewer sites that they have access to than you here. I have access to quite a few. If I scroll down here, right? So here are just the different sites that I have access to. What's really nice about SharePoint Home, so again, this is where you can access all the sites that you were given access to. You can also follow a site. So if you just want to kind of make it a little easier for you to find the actual sites, I can click on the star here, and this will add it to the section that we're following. So this is another way of just kind of parking your favorite sites that you can use. The home page does a lot of work for you. It shows you your recent sites that you visited as well. I'm not currently following this learning and development site, so I'm going to go ahead and follow it, and let's see if it will appear right away on the following. To follow a site, I'll click on the star icon right here. And you can see it pretty much showed up right away. So you can see it showed up right over here, learning and development. If you want to stop following a site, you can just go ahead and unclick it there as well. So we can get there from the app launcher. So this was kind of a shortcut way. Another way, you can simply just go to office.com. So once you head over to office.com, you can see all the different apps are here. You can also get to SharePoint from here as well. So whether you're using an existing online app and using the app launcher, or you can just go to office.com. Actually, this has been rebranded. This is now m365.cloud.microsoft.com. I'm sorry, .microsoft/apps. So if you type office.com, it will redirect you here. I'm still not used to typing this long URL here, m365.cloud.microsoft/apps. So again, I can come here and I can click on SharePoint. You can also click on all apps from here, but I'll go ahead and click on SharePoint here. And you can see it brings me right to SharePoint. Even the SharePoint Home has the app launcher here as well that you can focus on. Another way to get to SharePoint is directly from the Office desktop application. In this case, here is my Microsoft Word, and this is the start page here. I can click on the Open tab. So here's Open. Once I click on Open, you can see I'm already connected to SharePoint. So under the Quick Access area, here are the different SharePoint sites that I have access to. Here's that project team. So I'll go ahead and click here. And then this will show me the different document libraries that are available in here. I'll go ahead and click on General. And let's see what's in here. That's the team memo. That's not what I want. Let's go back up a little bit here. Let's take a look at Project A. And here's that Getting Started guide that we were able to look at earlier. If I click here, this will open it up here in the desktop application. So I can get to a SharePoint site from the desktop application. You can also save to SharePoint from here as well. So many different ways that we can actually get to SharePoint. Let's take a little bit of time and visit a SharePoint site. This will give us the opportunity to learn the structure and the different elements of a SharePoint site. So again, here I am on SharePoint Home. I do want to access a site that I'm following. Actually, I'm not following the project team, so I'll go ahead and follow this one. And there we go. So I'll go ahead and visit this site. So I'll click here. And so here is the actual site. So we can see the URL here at the top. We can see just a few things. So here's the URL. Here is the icon. So this can be customized. We'll cover that later. Here's the name of the site. And we can see that this was created from a team as well. If you take a look over to the right, you can see that this is a private group. So this is not open to everyone in the organization. It's open to these 5 members that are actually over here, right? So if we just take a look at that top, we can see a few things that are already set in place. Over on the left, we can see the navigation pane. So here's the navigation pane. This is just the basic generic navigation. We can customize this. We could even move it so that it's more of a horizontal navigation pane. We'll cover that a little later. But for now, we have the vertical stack. And these are all just right out of the box when a team is created. So we have the conversations. We can view the documents that are in the library. Spend most of our time here. There is the OneNote notebook. If it's being utilized by the members, the OneNote notebook is accessible to all the members. And then these are more admin, being able to view the different pages. Sometimes you can hide pages. So sometimes pages are actually hidden. So depending on your role, you may or may not see the pages there. Also the site contents, typically these are hidden as well. And of course you have the recycle bin, and then you can edit this actual navigation. So you can kind of rearrange things in here. I like to just rearrange them. Typically I don't use the conversations, or I'll go ahead and hide the pages and the site contents because you can get to them from the settings menu here, over here as well. Okay, so those are the basics, what we would expect from a page. We have a navigation pane. Then we have a kind of a quick bar right here. And if I were to click on here, this allows me, depending on your permissions. So I am the owner of the site. So I can create things like a new list, a new document library. I can add a new page. I can integrate an application in here as well. So these are a little more for, again, this little toolbar here, more for designers or for SharePoint site owners. Now, what we're looking at here is we'll see a few kind of containers. So we can see here's a news, right? Kind of a section that's recording news if news is being used. We have another section here for quick links, right? So if you click on this link that teaches you about a team site or how to add a page. Here is a document library. So these are actually called web parts. So, synonymous with, containers, if you will. But these are actually called web parts. So there's an actual web part in the library called quick links. There's a reusable web part called news. There's a reusable web part called activity. So this is pretty much what it consists of. Now we can add more content in here if we want to. So I can add some more things like maybe a Power BI report, a calendar, the weather app. So there's a lot that we can actually integrate in here. So it's not just files and folders. We have a lot of more engaging tools that we can actually use. So typically you're on the home page, or if any other pages were created, they will show up here. You can access them. For now, I'll click on the documents. This is typically where you would go. And as expected, the document library has organized files and folders that you can work on. So if I click here under the project A, you can see that this is the basic document library. We have the type of file, the name of the file, the last time it was modified, who it was modified by, and created. We can also add other columns in here as well. And those are the basics. So you have the home page. You have any additional pages that can be visited. Each page consists of web parts that you can edit. We'll take a look at that a little later. And that's pretty much it for touring a SharePoint page. So far, we were able to visit a team site. Let's take a look at a communication site and see if we can see the difference between a communication site versus a team site. So here is my team site. So again, this was created from a team. We have the basic web parts in here. I'm going to go back to SharePoint Home. Several ways I can get there. I can either, I can click on this icon here, or I can click on the icon here. Either one pretty much does the same thing. I'll go ahead and click on the SharePoint here. And let's visit this communication site. I've just called a communication site for the purpose of this training, but I do have other ones in here like learning and development. Here's a help desk one that I created as well. For now, I'll just click on the communication site. And typically with a communication site, you'll notice a few things. You'll notice that we're seeing, fewer options under the navigation, right? So there's no OneNote notebook. There is no, other content in here. We have a document library. We have the home page. You'll also see more engaging content. So this was created from a template. And what we're looking at here, so this is a web part. This is a hero web part. So a lot of ways to engage with your members. Hero allows us to add, in this case, up to 5 different pieces of content. It could be an image, it can be text, it could be a link, it could be a video, it can be a document, maybe a PDF that you can scroll through right here. If I scroll down, you'll see here's a Power BI report, news feed, and at the bottom, typically you'll have options to be able to chat or engage with one another there as well. So this is a communication site. Now, what is one of the main differences between a communication site and a team site? A team site is typically for collaboration. You want to have conversations. You'll be collaborating on file. A lot of members where you can edit content. A communication site, though, typically you have few members which can actually edit things, and you have a lot of viewers. So this is a great example. You want to come here and you want to be able to access reference material. You may access an employee handbook. You can view it, but you cannot make any changes to it. And again, we'll see a lot of different engaging content in here as well. So this is a communication site. So here's the documents, right? So typically you'll access reference material. Not all communication sites behave that way. Typically they disseminate information and the visitors can view the information but not make changes. Some communication sites will allow a lot of members to be able to edit, but that's very, very rare. So there you go. We can see also we have a horizontal navigation. That's pretty common. Usually there's a long navigation here as well, just to link to different pages. So in this case, here's the main site, but we do have different pages in here. So these are secondary pages. So if I want to click on the company protocols, I can view material related to company procedures. If I want communication tools, I can click here. This opens up another page on the site. So a site can have many pages, just like a modern website. And here's another, pretty much customized website that we can see here, or page rather. Nice big header, buttons that we can click on. So if I click on these will actually take me somewhere. And then we have some places for comments down in here as well. So a communication site, you want to disseminate information. You'll have more engaging content and you'll have more pages to be able to work with as well. A team site typically is for collaboration. You have many members that have higher level access. Let's continue to part 2 here. So visiting a site page. We've done so already. We're going to take a deeper look around for a specific site page here as well. Now, we'll spend a little bit of time seeing how content is added with web parts. Web parts are important because as a SharePoint owner, you want to integrate the appropriate web parts onto your page so that you can engage with the members of that specific site page there as well. Now, we'll also take a quick look at how permissions impact the experience. So I'll go back to I'll be using the project team here. And the first thing we'll take a look at is the permissions. So over here on the far right, we can see that this has 5 members. If I were to click here, this will show me who those 5 members are. Now, if you take a look, you'll notice that we have different permissions here. Diego is an owner, Adele is an owner, Megan is a member, Nestor is a member, and Grady is also a member. So this is really important. So because we have members and owners here, so it's typical for a SharePoint site to have at least 2 owners or co-owners. So if Diego's not available or Adele's not available, they can both go ahead and manage the actual contents of the actual page, whether they are information or whether they're files and folders for collaboration here as well. Now, based on the permissions here, permissions is all about what you can access, right? So it's all about what you can access and also what you can see. So the owner, while the owner may be able to see all of the page details, for example, the analytics, right? And any other hidden, they can also edit the navigation over here. The members may not have access to a lot of these different things. One of the biggest things as well in terms of permissions, right here, I'll go ahead and close the permissions group here. So right here from the main page, this is where you can create things to add it. So you can create a new list, a new document library, or attach an app as well. So this is also based on permission. So you may or may not be able to, for example, add a list or a document library or a page, or even that. You may be able to add a news post or a link. You may be able to add a form. So it all depends on the type of permissions that have been granted. There are several permission groups which we'll discuss later. We have members, we have owners, we have contributors, we have designers. So there's a lot of different groups that we can actually work with. But for now, let's take a look at how this page is set up. So again, these are called web parts. So we have the news web part, the activity web part, and the quick links as well. What I'm going to do is click on the edit button here, and this will allow us to see, we'll basically enter into content management mode, and we'll be able to see which web parts are being used. And we can also move things around as well. But for now, go ahead and click on the members icon on the top right. Go ahead and just kind of view the different members and what type of permissions were granted to them. Let's go ahead and explore the editing feature. So again, if you have the appropriate permissions, you are able to edit a page. Editing a page will basically allow us to enter content management mode. And then we can manage existing web parts. So for example, we can move them around if we want to. We can add more sections in here, more rows and more columns as well. We can even go ahead and remove things or add things. I'll go ahead and click on edit. And don't worry, we won't do too much here. We just want to kind of just understand the layout and the concept of using web parts to add engaging content to a site page. So once this loads here, let's see. Okay, so you can see we're in content management mode. Over here is the toolbox, and these are the different types of web parts that we can add. I can see the current web parts. Notice when I move my mouse around, we can see we get some cues here. So I can do something like add a new web part in that column. So right now, the way that this page is constructed, we have basically 2 columns. We have what's called a 2/3 column left here. And over here on the right, we have a 1/3 column. So the content in this column, in column 1, is larger than the content that's in column 2. So I'll just go ahead and maybe I'll move the document library over here. So to move it, you can click on the little dots here, and then you can move the web part, and you can move it anywhere you want to. I'll go ahead and move it there. And now you can see we have a bigger view of the document library because it's in that first column that has a bigger space for it. Let's see, what else is in here? I'll go ahead and just add one more. I'll go ahead and move this one down a little bit. So here's the quick links. See if I can move this down here. Does not allow me to move it. I'll go ahead and just add something basic here. I'll go ahead and add, for example, I'll click on See All Web Parts. If this pane is not showing, you can also just kind of hover over an existing web part. And at the bottom, you can see it says Add a new web part in column 2. It's the same thing. It's going to pull up the list. So different types of web parts that we can add. We have text, media, and content. So here's the hero we discussed earlier, a link to a resource, even a YouTube video. We have documents, files, countdown timer, events, news, Power BI reports, Microsoft Forms. I just want the weather. The whole idea with a web part, you add the web part has properties. This particular web part, if I click on the edit properties here, it's just asking me a few things. I need to go ahead and add a location. Do I want to display the temperature in Fahrenheit or Celsius? So depending on the web part you're working with, you will have more or less options here to work with. So I'll just go ahead and put San Francisco. There we go. I could even go ahead and add another location. So let's say we also have an office in Miami, Florida. And you can see it's kind of pulling up the real-time information in here. And I'll just say our weather today. And then I should be able to move this up now. Take the place of that quick link there. Oh, I actually moved it up to that very top row. It's not what I wanted. I'll go ahead and move it over here. Be right under there. There we go. All right, so that's it. I do want to republish it. So once I click on republish, all the changes I've made will be visible to everyone that accesses the page. So I'll click on republish. And the next time my members visit the page, they'll see the weather web part right here. And we've brought the document library so that it's the first thing that we see when we navigate to the site. And then here's our weather and other options there as well. So you can see just from all the web parts that are available, you can really build a really nice, engaging site just by adding existing web parts and specifying their properties as well. Welcome to part 3. We'll discuss document libraries. Now, in terms of a document library, it sounds like a big fancy word, but it's just an online cloud storage space where you can manage files and folders. So if you open your OneDrive, you'll notice you can manage your files and your folders. You'll have different views that you can use as well. You can also sort. So a lot of the things that you can do with your File Explorer, you can do in OneDrive, and you'll see some similarities with the interface for SharePoint as well. In part 3, we'll take a look, just an overview of the document library, and we'll make just a few customizations that may help you to have a better experience with the document library. So again, here is my team site. And what I want to do is head on over to the document area. Now this is named documents. This could be named something else, something more specific. This is just the generic document library. So, and you can have more than one document library. You can have several. But either way, typically you get to SharePoint, you want to find the document library and open the file or the folder you're looking for and collaborate. I'll click on documents here, and this will load the document library. And here is the document library. So just like in SharePoint, we have our just our little navigation or headers here. So we have the type of the file, the name, the last time it was modified, who it was modified by, and when it was created. You can also add other columns. We'll cover this in the next course here. But if I go back up here to the very, very top, there's a couple of things that we can do. We can add a shortcut to OneDrive. We'll discuss these a little later here as well. But all the way to the far right, well, you can create or you can upload. Well, this is the root of the document library. So I'm going to click on the project A here. And here you can see we have some specific files that are in here. And well, what if I wanted, for example, change the view? Well, I can go ahead and do that. So to change the views, the interface has changed just a little bit, but I have to click over here where it says options. And if I click right here, you can see I have a few different views. So I'll go ahead and choose the list view. So this is the list view. I'll go ahead and change it to the compact list. So the compact list just allows you to see more content on one page. It's very subtle. We only have 4 pieces of content here, but if we had a lot, we can see how it would roll it up for us here as well. So that's the list view versus the compact list. I'll click on auto fit height. And this just kind of gives us this kind of uniform layout here in terms of the height of the rows. And then we have another one here, which is tiles. So if you like to see, typically with the tiles, you can see the first page of the actual document and the type of document that's in here as well. So this could be a view that works best for you. You can see we don't get the preview for folders, but for files, we can get that in here as well. And then you can simply just click on the file and you can go ahead and launch it. Now I'm going to go back to I'll go back to the list view. Let's see, here's list. Just want a little better spacing. Okay, so I'll just choose the auto height view and then I'm good to go. Other things that you can do is you can sort, you can group. So you can simply just click on a column if you want to. So right now we can see I can go ahead and sort by name. Right. So there you go. Or maybe I want to view the last modified. So I can say the newer. Right, so which file was modified most recently. Again, folders doesn't really fit into that. It's going to sort based on folders and files. So even though this file was the most recent modified, it's under the folders in here as well. So you can always just click on a column and you can go ahead and do a quick sort. You can also filter. You can also group. We don't really have a lot of content in here to really see how the grouping works. Let me go back to another library. Let me go back up one level. So here's the hierarchy. So we're currently in the document library. Here's the project A, and I can go back to the main level. And so let's see, here is under general. Let's see what we have under here. We don't have a lot under there either. What about project beta? We only have 1 in here. And that's fine. We'll go ahead and add some content in here. Then we can really see how the grouping actually works. So that's just a good way to start. Go ahead and just choose your view. Go ahead and sort the document library as needed. Again, depending on the columns that you have, you can sort and you can go ahead and group as well. Now, for the last part here of part 3, this has to do with collaborating in a library. So we'll spend most of our time here. This is really where you want to kind of dig in and just focus and take notes if you need to. Remember, you can always rewind, you can pause, you can rewatch here again. So I'll go to the project A document library here. And when it comes to collaboration, well, the question is, well, how can I collaborate? Well, what I like to do is just either click on the 3 dots right next to a particular file, or you can right click on the file. So if I were to right click on it here, you'll see a long list of options. All of the collaborative tools that we need, they are right here. So for example, if I want to open this in the desktop application as opposed to opening it in the browser, I can do that. I can go ahead and make this a favorite. I can go ahead and open the file. So I can open the file and I can go ahead and make changes there as well. We can view the version history. So a really nice thing about SharePoint is as user edits are made to a particular file, SharePoint is saving different versions of the file for us. That's important because that allows us to fall back to an earlier version. We can also set up alerts. So if a column changes or if a document changes that you have created, you can receive an email alert. And we'll also take a look at the checkout feature as well. So we'll just go from the top to the bottom here. But for now, we just want to see what the options are for collaborating. So here is the file. I'll go ahead and click on it. Now, when you click on a file in SharePoint, it's going to open in the web. So here is Word for the web, and here is the actual ribbon. So the first thing we'll talk about is just editing in the web versus the desktop application. Now, the first thing that you may notice when you open up a file in SharePoint, it opens in the web and the ribbon looks different, right? This is kind of the web-based ribbon, and it may be hard to find things that you're looking for. So I just simply maybe want to just bold the text, right? And you can see kind of the short list is here. So what you can do is click on the ribbon display options right over here. And what I like to do is just change it to the classic ribbon. So I'll go ahead and click here. And you can see right now we're using the single line ribbon. So I'm going to change that to the classic ribbon. And I'm also going to choose the option to always show the ribbon. And by doing these two things, this gives you more of the desktop, right? Desktop look and feel. So let's see what that looks like. I'll go ahead and choose classic. I'll also go ahead and always show the ribbon. And there you go. So here's the clipboard command group. Here's the font command group. Here's the paragraph command group. And then of course, here are my different styles in here as well. I'll go ahead and, for example, just apply the title style to the title there, and I'm good to go. Maybe I'll change the color as well. I'll make it more of a bluish tone. And there we go. So we're good. So, well, if I want to be able to, so this is a big part of collaborating. If I want to, if we click on the editing mode here, notice you do have the capability right here to open this in the desktop. So I can actually click right here, and this will open up the desktop application for me. I can also get there by going back to the document library. And remember, when we click on the three dots, the very first thing that we see is the capability to open this in the desktop application. So I'll go ahead and open this in the desktop app. And this will launch as long as you're logged into Microsoft Office, which you should be. I'll go ahead and zoom in here. Right, so there we go. Now, how do we know that we are actually syncing? Well, if you take a look, you'll notice that we have the autosave is turned on. And if I were to click on the name of the file right here, it tells me exactly where it's located, right? So it's telling me right here, it's clearly on a SharePoint site called Project A. And here is the document library that it's a part of there as well. Well, what I want to do, so you may say, well, Mo, I open it in the desktop application, but if I make changes, will they sync to SharePoint? And the answer is yes. I'll go ahead and change the color here. I'll make the title orange, right? And I'll just go ahead and add another, well, you know, I'll just give this a quick style. So I'll give this a heading 2 type of style in here as well. And maybe I'll add a table of contents, right? So we do have some headings in here. So I'll generate an automatic table of contents. And let's see. There you go. So here's our table of contents. We can see it saving. Once that saving icon goes away, I know it's saved. And what I'll do is go back to the web version. Actually, I can do it now. I don't necessarily have to wait. So let me go back on the, so here it is. I'll go ahead and open it here. And let's see if those changes have been made. And there you go. Here's the change in color. Here's the table of contents that was included. And we can see we have the heading 2 style over here as well. So mission accomplished. So that's the first step in collaborating. Just right click on any particular file. And your very first step is to decide how you want to open the file in the browser or in the desktop app. Now we have the competence of knowing when we open it in the desktop application, we have the tools necessary and the changes are being synced as well. Let's continue collaborating. Well, other things that we can do to collaborate, we can go ahead and create or upload. So I can upload existing files into here if I want to. I can also go ahead and just create something new. So maybe I want to create a new Excel workbook. And notice once I create the workbook, it opens up here for Excel in the web. Again, you can go ahead and open it in the desktop application if you want to, but I already have it here. I'm going to see if I can give this a quick name, and I'll just call this one task list. I'll call this task spreadsheet actually. All right, so there's my task spreadsheet, and I'm good to go. And I'll just put some basic information in here, such as the task number, and who's the owner of the task, start date, end date, priority, and any notes that I want to put in there as well. Right, so just a basic one in here. Now the whole idea with this is all of my team members can actually access this content. I'm going to convert this into a table. Let's see, I'll make this into a table. My table is headers. I'll go ahead and press OK. And there we go. I'll go ahead and call this tasks. And I'm good to go. I'll go ahead and close this. And here is the task spreadsheet right here. Right. So pretty cool. I'll go ahead and put this back to sorting by name. And I'm good to go. So you can upload, you can even drag and drop into here if you want to. All right, so really nice way to be able to collaborate here as well. Well, I just added this file, and I'm going to open up Adele's version of SharePoint, and let's see if Adele and I can work on this document at the same time. Okay, so I'll go ahead and open up Adele's here. So here it is. One second, let me go ahead and open this first here. All right, so I have it open here. And then I'll go ahead and open it on Adele's. So here's Adele. You can see Adele is logged in here. Adele will go ahead and open up that Excel sheet as well. And let's see what happens here. Wait for everything to load. And there you go. So Adele is currently looking at the document. And because I'm in here, Adele can see that I'm in here. Adele can see where I am and exactly what I'm doing here as well. Right? If I go back to my version of it, I can see where Adele is, what Adele is doing as well. So this is the whole idea. We can mark up the document at the same time, and we can also leave comments. So if I want to go ahead and leave a comment, so this is a great way just to kind of keep tabs on the conversations regarding the actual file. So I'll just go ahead and add a new comment, and I'll use the @mention here. Okay, so the @mention, when you use that, you can send notifications to that colleague. They'll receive a notification via email that a comment was left for them in a particular file. Right? So I'll just say, please add the first task. And I'll go ahead and post that comment. And there we go. And let's see if I go back to my version here. Let's see, I'll go ahead and refresh. And if I click on the comments, I can see the comment that's actually here as well. So if I were to go ahead and open up my Outlook, I would see the message notifying me that a comment was left, and I can simply click on that link within the email, and that will bring me right to this spot here in the actual document. So pretty nice way to go here. I'll go ahead and close this out. So there we go. So now I'm back here, and that's the whole purpose of SharePoint. We can all mark up the file together, or we can simply just view the file, but this file lives in one place. We don't have 20 different versions of this file. It's all accessed from this actual cloud location. All changes are merged automatically, and we're good to go. So go ahead and practice. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the other options that are available just by going down this list here as well. What else is there to collaborating in a document library? I'll click on my spreadsheet this time. So we talked about opening in the browser versus the app. We talked about how to add or create a file and how to collaborate in real time on that file here as well. Other things that I can do, just a quick mention, we can download the file. Now just be careful with downloading the file. So if you were to download the file, this creates a separate copy, right? So if you download the file and make changes, it does not sync, right? So there's no syncing there. You're basically downloading your own separate copy of that file and making changes, but those changes will not sync. You can also pin this file to the top. Why is this important? Well, if this is a really important file, you want everyone to kind of be able to focus on it and be able to find it as opposed to scrolling through the list. If I click on pin at the top, you can see it pins it here at the top for me. And we have that tile view there as well. So we can do that. What else can we do here? If I choose to favorite the file, this is important as well. If I favorite this file, when you favorite a file, the file is going to show up in your favorites folder on OneDrive, right? So this will be available in your OneDrive favorites. So it's basically just a link to that particular file. It's a great way to store your files in OneDrive. Okay, we can also rename the file, right? So you can rename it right here if you want to. Maybe I'll just say task spreadsheet, and I'll call this Q1. Go ahead and update it here. I can also open the file and actually rename it right from there as well. But there we go. Okay, what else can we do here? So other things that you can do, don't really recommend this, but you can move this if you want to. You would need to communicate to all of your colleagues who are accessing the file and letting them know that you're going to move it. You may realize that there's a better place. Maybe there's a folder called Q1, and this will be a better landing or space for this particular file. So you can do that. You can also copy a file. Not a big fan of that because you basically have that file living in two places. So not the best thing to do there as well. We'll cover the automation a little later, but for right now, let's take a look at the version history. Now the getting started may have more options, more versions created so far since I've made some edits. So when it comes to the version history, there's several ways that you can access it. If I click here, it pulls up this list here and shows me the different versions that have been created so far. So we can see we have 4 versions so far. And I can go ahead and click on one of these and I can open that version. But what I prefer to do is to access the version history from the actual application. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and open it here. So once I have it open, I can click on I'm just waiting for it to load here. All right, so I can go ahead and click on the File tab, and right here is the actual version history. So just click on File and access the version history. So we'll take a look at how we can access the version history using the online app and the web app as well. I'm going to exit the file from Adele's end. So typically when you want to restore to an earlier version, everyone has to be out of the file. But for now, I just want to go ahead and view it. I'm not necessarily going to restore it. So I'll click on version history here. And we can see we have 2 entries 12 minutes ago. I'll go ahead and expand this. And you can see we have several in here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different versions of this particular file. So let's see what the state of this file was like, let's say 8 hours ago. And as expected, it was a blank document. Okay, so this one, a little less than 8 hours ago, we had some detail in here. I am showing the edits. So when you're viewing it, you can see what has changed from one to the next. So typically that red or maroon text shows you what has changed from one version to the next. Here's the state of the file up to 14 minutes ago. And we can see right here, this vertical line lets us know that there was a change right here as well. So we just made a change to the style that converted that to a title. And then of course, here is up to 13 minutes ago. Right? We added the table of contents. So pretty nice. It's tracking everything for us. Now, if I want to restore this particular version, I can go ahead and do that. If I click here, we can't really do that right now because we have someone else in the file. So I would need to make sure that Adele has exited the file. If you don't want to restore it, you can simply just click on back to the document. And here we go. Well, let's see what this looks like in the desktop. I'm going to just pause really quickly. I'm going to close out the web applications and open the desktop version. And let's see the process for restoring to an earlier version in the desktop application. I was able to open the desktop version here. Now for the desktop version, what I need to do, I could click on the File tab and go to Info, and I can click on the version history here. But there's a quicker way to get there. I can click on the name of the file here, and right here I can access the version history. So let's just see what the difference is here. I'll click on version history, and what this will do, this will open up two copies of the file. So here's the version history in the background. That's the current state of the file. This window here that's moving, this is the window that allows me to, to basically view the different version histories here as well. So here we go. So here are a few versions in here. And as you can see, I can simply click on the restore button here to restore the file. When you restore an earlier version, it does not delete the versions. It just swaps places. So it will move this to the top, make this the current version, and this one will move down. So pretty nice. So that's what you need to know about accessing the version history. If you don't want to restore, just go ahead and close this window, and then you can go ahead and continue working on the document, or you can go ahead and close it out as well. We've covered quite a bit so far. Again, it's great to know that you can simply right-click on an existing file or click on the three-dot menu here and access all the collaborative tools that are available to us. We'll take a look at an important one called checkout. So if you go all the way to the bottom, and by the way, you can also, if you want a shorter menu, I can go ahead and select the file from here. And from the quick toolbar here, I get a shorter list of options that I can use, and checkout is also right here. Well, what does it mean to check out a file? Well, let's say I want to open this file and I want to make some major changes to it. Right? So I'll go ahead and open the file here. So maybe I want to kind of rearrange my table of contents, move some things around. It's going to be very difficult when others are in the file working on it at the same time. So the first thing I want to do is to communicate to my team. I need to make some major changes to the file, so please exit the file. I'll let them know exactly what I'm doing and when the file will be checked back in. When you check out the file, you are checking out the file exclusively so that only you can make changes to the file. No one else can make changes to the file while you have it checked out. As a matter of fact, they cannot even see what you're doing until you check the file back in. As an example, I'll go ahead and check out the file here. So I'll make sure I have it selected, and I'll click on the quick toolbar here. I'll go ahead and check out the file. As long as no one else is in the file, you are able to check it out. You can see it's been checked out here, and we have a small icon here letting us know that it has been checked out. I'm going to head on over to Adele's SharePoint and let's see what that looks like. So I'm actually currently in Adele's, so Adele checked this out. So I'll go back to Nestor's here. All right, so here is Nestor, and you can see if you kind of move your mouse over it, it says Adele Vance checked out this item. Well, let's see. I'll go ahead and open this this document here, and let's see what the experience looks like. Now notice the ribbon is gone. I cannot make any changes. I can only view the file. I can still interact with it, but I cannot make any edits. There is no ribbon. The ribbon is basically gone. I'm not allowed to make any changes until Adele checks this file back in. Now, one thing to note, as Adele is making changes, even if Adele makes some changes, I cannot see the changes here until Adele checks it back in. So I'll go back to Adele's here, and I'll go ahead and open up this file. And I'll keep it simple. I'll just make a few changes. I'll go ahead and change the heading here, and I'll go for a, let's see, I'll just go for a dark purple. And I'm going to just maybe move this content down. Right. So there we go. All right. So just some basic changes that I've made. And I'm going to close this file. And let's see, I'm not going to check it back in yet. I want to see what it looks like on the other end here. So I'll go back to, so here is Nestor. I'll go ahead and refresh. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so I just refreshed, and as you can see, those changes that I've made, so remember, I did change the color here, and I did move part 1 down to the next page. So no one can see any changes until I actually check the file back in. So I'll go back and forth just a little bit here. To check the file back in, simply click back, select the file, click on more commands, and I want to say check the file back in. This is another way of just publishing the new version of the file. If I don't want to, let's say I've made some mistakes or I'm not ready, I can discard the changes that I made. But in this case, I want to check the file back in. Optionally, you can leave a comment in terms of what was changed. And I'll just say updated styles. I'll go ahead and check that back in, and I'm good to go. So now the file is checked back in, and now I should be able to access the actual file from Nestor's computer. Let's see. I may need to go back to the document library. Nope, I can just refresh it right here, and there you go. So since the file has been checked back in, all of the members of that site or that document library can see all the changes that have taken place here as well. Just remember to check the file back in. So the first step is to communicate to your colleagues, let them know that you are checking out the file. Make your changes in good time and just go ahead and check the file back in. If you go on vacation, your team members cannot access that file until you actually check it back in. Great tool when you want to make major changes to a particular document. What else can we do in order to collaborate? Well, again, if you click on the menu here, there's some things that we did not discuss, like sharing. So typically you don't share outside of a SharePoint site because it's intended for the members of the site. So typically the SharePoint owner will be the one to enable sharing. So maybe you want to share to someone that's not a member, but that's not typically how SharePoint is set up. You typically add the member and then they can have access to the resources here as well. This is the same share dialog you'll see from OneDrive and from Teams as well. So just choose who you want to share it with and what type of access you want them to have. Again, most SharePoint owners will not allow you to share outside of the members. So typically you would need to contact them if you do need to share a resource with someone that's not a member of this particular site as well. So we can do that. We have sharing. And then we have, let's see, so you can delete the file. Once you delete the file, it will appear in the recycle bin. So you can access the recycle bin here. Different corporations or organizations have different rules in terms of how long a deleted file can be recovered. So we have that option there as well. One thing we'll talk about is just setting up an alert So we'll take it setting up an alert here, and we'll just do a quick preview of how we can actually add a column. So I'll go ahead and show you how we can add another column first, and then we'll go ahead and set up an alert. Now, when it comes to adding columns, we already have hidden columns that are in here. And in the next course, we'll cover custom columns. So you can restore a hidden column, or you can add your own columns in here as well. What I would like to do is I'd like to show the notes for the checkout. So remember, when we checked out that file, we left a note in there. So we need to add a column to be able to see those details. I'll click on Add Column. And I want to show or hide columns. This is for part 2, but for now, I just want to show or hide columns. And here is the check-in comment right here. And I can simply just go ahead and click on Apply. And it should show up. So here's that note that Adele left when the file was actually checked out. Next thing I would like to do is go ahead and set up an alert. So you can set up an alert for the entire library, or you can set up an alert for a specific file, right? I'll just go ahead and set up an alert for the entire library here. So let's see, actually, let's see. Yep, so I'll click on Alert Me. I'll just do it for this document for now. So I'll click on Alert Me, and the dialog box will open up for us to be able to use. Now, alerts are going away, but don't worry, it's the same process. We have another tool called Rules. So as expected, it's going to ask us to create the name for the alert. So this one is bringing in the name of the document library and the name of the document. How do you want to receive alerts? Well, I want to receive an email. And when do I want to receive alerts? If anything changes, or if someone else changes a document, someone else changes a document created by me, I'll choose this one. So if anyone changes this document, please send me an alert immediately. You can also set up a daily summary at a specific time every day, or you can send a weekly summary. So let's say every Friday, right? Maybe before you leave for the day, you can do that as well. So several different ways that you can do that. And that's it. So the name of the alert, what do you want to receive alerts for, and how and when do you want to receive the alerts? I'll go ahead and press OK. And there you go. That alert is just for me. So I will be the only one that receives emails letting me know that something was changed either in the document library or for this particular file. Now, if I want to go ahead and manage my alerts, right underneath Alert Me, I have Manage My Alerts. So if you want to make a change to an existing alert, you can see I only have one here. I can go ahead and click on it. And then I can go ahead and make any changes. I can delete it if I want to. I'll actually go ahead and delete this. I no longer need it. And I am good to go. Right. So those are just a few different things that we can do to further collaborate in a document library. Welcome to part 4. We'll take a look at SharePoint lists. Now, our lists are like a library. It's just set up a little differently. So typically you'll create a list because you want to be able to collect information, and the process of adding information to the list is a little different than working in a library. So we'll go ahead and take a look at how a list works in SharePoint and how it's leveraged. So we'll take a look at an overview. We'll also take a look at how we can collaborate in a list, and we'll take a look at different list views as well. I'll go ahead and go back to my SharePoint site. Now, in terms of what a list is, if I click on the New tab here from the home page, we can create a list. So this is the best way to see what a list is all about. I'll go ahead and click here. And what's really nice is we have a lot of built-in templates that we can use for a particular list. So if I scroll down, here are some lists from Microsoft. We have quite a few. And you can see right away why you would want to use a list. Maybe you are tracking issues. Maybe you are onboarding employees. Maybe you're tracking assets in the field. maybe you're managing travel requests. So we have quite a few in here. Your organization can add some in here as necessary. You can also go ahead and create a blank list from an Excel file or a CSV file. But let's take a look at, let's go for employee onboarding. We're not going to create it. We're just going to go ahead and take a look. So once the list is created, this is what it will look like. And you'll notice we have some dynamic columns in here, things like choices, drop downs. And so here's the work that needs to be done, the description, complete by. We have a simple checkmark column. Has it been completed? We have a date column indicating when it was completed. We have a people column, so you can assign that to one of your colleagues from the global address list. Any relevant links or any relevant files in here as well. So this is pretty much what a list is. It allows us to collect information. I already have a list up and running here. Here's a expenses list. And this list I actually just uploaded from an Excel file, converted the Excel file into a list. And so here's the list. So just some expenses. We have the transaction ID, we have the date, the vendor, category. So let's just give this a quick run. One thing to note, when you are working with a list in SharePoint, you have two options. You can either click on Edit in Grid View, and this basically turns the list into an Excel type of experience. So you can click on each cell, and then you can access the drop downs. If I click on the date column here, I'll get the date picker. And so that's pretty much how it works. So a lot of these are mostly drop down columns. You can even add more columns if you want to. So really, really nice option. So if I wanted to go ahead and modify a particular list, so let's say this one, I'll go ahead and just modify this. I'll go ahead and change the amount. So let's say this was $600. Right, so the change has been made, and I'll say that this was approved. And once I'm finished, I can just click on Exit Grid View. So there's no save button. Once I click on Exit Grid View, this pretty much saves it. So I'll go ahead and just click on Exit, and there you go. Now, what if I wanted to maybe add a new item? Well, I can do that in two ways. I can click on Edit in Grid View, and you can see down here, we have the Add New Item button. And this basically just allows us to enter a line. So I'll click on Add New Item here. And here's the placeholder for that new line. So I'll put in 251. I'll go ahead and put in the date. And I'll just choose today. And then, didn't take. Let's see. There we go. And then I'll head on over. This is a drop down, so I'll go ahead and just choose this. So you can see it's a little different than working with the library. We're dealing with files and folders. Here with the list, we're dealing with records. Now, some lists can incorporate files as well. So, but this particular one, this is just working with a flat file. So I'll just go ahead and put in IT equipment, and I'll just finish this out here. And let's see, this is a monitor. And I'll put in the amount $399. And this was for the remote office. And this is pending. And that's it. I could go ahead and exit grid view, and I'm good to go. You may prefer to click on the Add New Item button here. This will give us a form view. Forms are a great way of entering information. It makes it just much more efficient to enter the data. So I'll go ahead and add new item here. And here's the form. So you don't have to worry about navigating those columns. You have a really nice clickable actions here. So let's see how quickly I can do this. Now I can just press the tab key. I'll choose today. And there you go. Amazon, office supplies, batteries, right? So $50. Location, Bellevue, Washington, approval status, pending. And with the form, you get a bonus column here. So if you want to add attachments, maybe add the receipt for that particular expense, you could do that. I'll go ahead and press save, and I'm good to go. So that's just an overview of what a list is and how we can edit an existing list or add content to an existing list as well. When working with lists, you also notice that we have a little kind of condensed section here that has different views. And so a list will typically come with views or different groupings. And that's there for a reason, because again, the list is kind of behaving like a spreadsheet or a database file. So what's really beneficial of working with a list is you can run analysis on these columns. So what if you wanted to, for example, group by vendor or by category, or filter by location. So that's what this section is for. We can filter, we can group, and we can also go ahead and change the different views. So first I'll just go ahead and change the views. You can also add views here as well. But right now we're just seeing all items. I'll go ahead and click on the drop down here. And so at the very top, you can just change the views. So right now we're using the auto fit height. Let me click on list and let's see what this does. This just kind of allows us to see more of the content on one screen. Not a big change there. If I click on compact list, so right now we're seeing up to expense 112. If I click on compact, I'm seeing 5 more. So I'm seeing up to 117. But you may just want, to kind of just automatically distribute those rows so they all have the uniform height here as well. So that's kind of the default view. So you can change that if you want to. Now down here, we have some options for saving the view, save the view as, or reset the view. So one of the things that we can do is we can, for example, we can move these columns around. So if you wanted to, so you can resize the columns if you want to. For example, let's see if I can move this one over. That first column typically is kind of difficult to work with, but let's see, I'll go ahead and expand this a little bit. I think they're all pretty much okay, but I'll just move things around. You can also rearrange your columns. So for example, we have the vendor category. Maybe I'll put the category over here next to the transaction date, and then the subcategory, and then the vendor. So you can reorganize the views if you want to, and that's good. Now, what else can we do? We can go ahead and actually filter out the data that's being displayed right now, right? We also have group by, and we have sort. So if you were to click on any column, for example, and I'll say, let's go ahead and sort, because right now we don't necessarily have any type of sorting in here. I'll actually click on the transaction ID and I'll sort in ascending order. So you can see we're sorted by the order of the transactions. It should be tied to the date as well, and it pretty much is. But if I wanted to go ahead and sort by a location, I'll sort A to Z. So we can see here all of the Bellevue, Washington locations, followed by the other ones there as well. I can also go by approval status. Well, let's see if I can group by approval status. So I'll go ahead and choose group by approval status. So you can see a lot of these are already built in, and this is really nice. So here's the grouping. These are the approved, and it gives us a number. So we have 114 approved expenses. So these are all approved. And as I scroll down, I should see another grouping. So we have 26 pending. So here are the 26 pending. So lists are really cool. I really like lists. You may be able to pick up on that already. Microsoft is putting a lot of work into lists. Really, really nice way of collaborating and collecting information. And then we have some down here that are rejected as well. So these are just different views that we can work with, which are pretty cool. So you can filter, you can go ahead and sort. Now that I've actually grouped this by status, if I want to, I could go ahead and kind of just save this as a view. So I'll say save this view as, and I'll go ahead and click on here. I can give this a name. And I can say group by approval. Optionally, I can make this a public view. So if you want to make this view available to your other members of the site, you can turn this on. If you just want it to be just for you, then you can uncheck that button there as well. I'll go ahead and click save. So if you do make this public, when your other members click on the all items, they will see this view as an option there. I'll just keep it personal. I'll go ahead and press save. Now, when you change the view, so here's the group by approval. You can see it showing up here. And if I want to just go back to the default view, I can go back to all items. So I'll click here. So here's all items. I don't have to manually group by approval. I can just click here and I can save that view. So that's pretty much it. If you filter out the data, you can save it as a view. If you group the data, you can save it as a view. You can also rearrange the columns and save that as a view as well. So those are just a few beneficial ways of utilizing the view, filter, and grouping section over here on the SharePoint list. Welcome back. Let's take a look at part 5 here. We'll take a look at SharePoint search. So how does it work and what can we search for? The main thing to know is that we have different levels. What I like to call level 1 search, level 2 search, or level 3 search. The other option as well is when you're searching, you do have options. So you can search within a library. You can search within a site page, or you can search from SharePoint Home. So SharePoint Home gives you the most results. The site page, you're only searching within that page. So any libraries that are on that page, any lists, it will search. And then if you're in a specific library, it's only going to search the files and folders that are in that library. So if you know exactly where you want to go, just go directly to the library or the page. But if you just want to do a broad search, you'll go to SharePoint Home. We'll do a quick run through of library, searching in a library, searching a page, and then we'll focus more on SharePoint Home. So I'll go back to my SharePoint here. And so let's see. So I can actually search this list. I'm right here in the list. So notice when I hover over the search, it says search this list. And so if I try to look for something that's not in this list, let's say I'm looking for a file called collaboration, it's not going to find anything because there's no file in here called collaboration. So I can only search for, specific options in here. If I go to the document library, and so let's say I want to go ahead and do a search here. So let's say training. So this is level 1. It finds it right from the search bar. And if I find it, great. I can go ahead and click on it and I can open it. But if I still have not found what I'm looking for, I can go ahead and press the Enter key. And this introduces more of a level 2 search. This is level 2 because we have some more filters here that we can use, right? So what do I want to actually search for? I can go for that as well. So if you know exactly where you want to look for a file, then that's perfectly fine. I'll go to the home page of the site. So this is not SharePoint Home. This is from the project team here. And once this loads, the search box says search this site. So if I want to search this site, so I know the file I want to find. I'm just not sure if it's in the documents area, if it's in this, this list, if it's on another page. So this is a good place to come to search as well. So I'll go ahead and type here and let's see, I'll go for, and you can see once you click on the search box, a lot of the recent files will actually show up here. So again, this is level 1, but I'll go ahead and search for, I'll just type approval and I'll go ahead and press enter. I don't have any hits here. All right, so I'll go ahead and do that. But you can see once I press enter, it's already found something here. Maybe that's still not what I'm looking for. And So here's level 2. So I can search for files related to approval, right? I can change this to file type. So maybe I'm looking for a PowerPoint or an Excel. I can even drill down to for a specific range. So let's say it was modified in the past 3 months. I can do that as well. And so you can also search archive files. So if you're still not finding what you're looking for, you can go ahead and search the archive here as well. So those are just two different ways to search within either the document library or from the site level. When we come back, we'll take a look at searching from SharePoint Home, and we'll see how we can unlock some more features. Let's take a look at searching SharePoint at the top level. So you can see here, I'm on SharePoint Home. We know this is SharePoint Home. If I click here, you can also see the search box is telling us to search SharePoint right here. So what this means is we can search for a lot in here. So we can search sites, we can search messages, we can search for files, lots of things that we can do here. I'll just go ahead and click in that box. And this gives us a good idea of what we can search for here at the top level of SharePoint or SharePoint Home. So we can search for sites. We can see that indicated here. We can search for files. We can search for people. So there's a lot that we can do. If you hover over those different objects, you'll see different things that we can interact with. For example, we can copy the link from here. We can download this file here. We can actually open the file right from here as well. We can go ahead and copy an email, or we can open the contact card. So there's a lot that we can actually do here. Here are some quick searches from the history. I can also click on the settings to manage my search history. But for now, let's just go through the process of going through level 1, 2, and 3 search. So I'll go ahead and type here. I am going to look for a collaboration. And let's see what results we get. So we already have one hit for a site called August Collaboration Tools. And we have some files in here, a few Word files, PDF, right? And even a loop control. So if I'm not finding what I'm looking for, I can just go ahead and press enter. So right now, this is level 1. If I find what I'm looking for, I click on it, I'm good to go. To get to level 2, I can click on show more results, or I can just go ahead and press the enter key. So now that I've pressed the enter key, you can see I have more results in here. I can scroll down. There's a lot that's in here. And now I can go ahead and kind of introduce my level 2 search. So am I looking for a file? Am I looking for sites? Am I looking for people? News? Messages? Yes, you can search your messages. So here are my messages from the posts in my team's channels, images, videos, Power BI reports. So we can search for a lot in here as well. Now I do want to focus on files. So let's see. So for example, I'm looking at files here, and let's see how the search works. So if you have the name, if you have that name and the title of the file, it will appear here. And if you also have the name and the body of the file, it will show up here as well. So it's not in the title of this slide deck here, but it is within or inside of that actual file. So this is a deep search, right? So pretty nice. Okay, well, just like before, I can search for a specific file type. Maybe I'll go for a presentation. I'll go ahead and press apply. And maybe by time range, so I'll go ahead and say within the past 3 months. And there you go. So here are my current hits. And I can go ahead and just go ahead and click on one of these here as well. And I'm good to go. Now, one more thing to note. So again, this is kind of level 3. You can drill down to the type of file and the date range there as well. So pretty nice. Now, one thing to note, I'll go ahead and clear those filters. So when you search these results, these are not all files that are owned by you. So anything that you have access to. So if someone has shared a file with you, it will show up here. So not just files that you create. So for example, Looks like this one was, let's see, I don't really have an example here, but all of the files that you have access to will show up here. So that's why you want to be careful when you're sharing, not to overshare. When you're sharing a file, make sure not to make it so that anyone with the link can view or edit the file. The very best thing that you can do when sharing is to share with a specific individual via email. Because if you do that, your file becomes public, if you will, within the organization. So really, really nice option. Again, we can search for messages, and then you can go ahead and expand the search to search the entire organization, or you can keep the search just for you here. So if I click on all, here are the different sources that I can use, file types. So really, really nice. So SharePoint Home is the place to go when you are looking. If you really cannot find what you're looking for, go to SharePoint, and that is your go-to. That concludes our course. I hope this was helpful for you. Just a quick recap. This is what we learned today. We started off just by talking about, well, what is SharePoint? How do we access SharePoint? Why do we need it? And how does it fit within our organization? We spent most of our time taking a look at the collaboration options for SharePoint, how to collaborate in a SharePoint list versus how to collaborate in a document library. What is a document library? How to get to one? We also just had a brief introduction to how pages are edited, how content is added to pages to offer more engagement and to be able to present more information to members. We also discussed just how permissions affect what you can see and what you can do on a SharePoint site as well. And then we finished up by taking a look at different ways that we can search for information using SharePoint. The main takeaway is that that's the best place to go if you want to search what you're looking for, whether you're searching messages, files, pages, or even for people as well. So that concludes our course. Look forward to seeing you for the next level of our SharePoint course. So feel free to pause and rewind this one and tune in for the next one as well. Welcome to part 2 of our SharePoint course. This is the SharePoint Advanced course, and you're learning with Mo Jones, IT professional and educator. Well, let's take a look and see what we'll be covering today. We've separated into 4 high-level topics that we'll be covering, but we have a lot of subtopics that we'll be covering here as well. So the first thing we'll take a look at is how to create custom sites. So what role does sites play in SharePoint, and why would you want to create one? And what can you do once you actually have a site up and running? We'll take a look at managing content services. So we'll take a deeper dive into clicking on the edit button, going into content management mode, and adding engaging content for your members and or your visitors. We'll also take a look at controlling access through permissions. There's different levels or layers of permissions, if you will. Some you will be comfortable using. And once you get to the really advanced level, the best thing to do is to contact your SharePoint admin and for specific guidance. We'll also take a look at how we can improve security. So beyond permissions, what are some other really things that we need to consider when we're securing the content on our site, within our document library, or even on the home site there as well. So that is what we'll be covering in this course. Here's a quick overview. Now, this is from the perspective of a site owner. So whether you're an existing owner, maybe you inherited a site and you were tapped on the shoulder to manage the site. Maybe you're planning on actually building a site for your department, or maybe for a specific objective. So this course is for you. I'll give you just a few minutes to read, a minute or two, just to go ahead and read the slides. So feel free to pause, go ahead and read it. I'm not going to read the entire detail here. I'll just go ahead and summarize it. So, advanced SharePoint site building and administration. We'll also take a look at just the concept of applying templates to a particular site, adding pages, lists, and libraries. And of course, we want to be able to augment the experience for our members as well. So that is what we'll be covering in this course. Before we dive in, let's go ahead and take a look at a really nice use case of SharePoint. And this is a very common use case as well. Now, let's say HR would like a custom SharePoint site. They don't have one yet. Maybe you just migrated to SharePoint from another system, maybe from the traditional file server setup. And now you just want a more modern experience. So the HR team has made some discussions. They've seen some other sites. For example, the marketing department has a really nice site that can help them to collaborate, engage, and disseminate information as well, both internally and externally within the organization. So they would like a custom SharePoint site, and the goal is just to centralize resources and to be able to improve the overall employee experience. So there are some key features that we'll take a look at. So one of the key features is that we can use this site as not just explicitly for an onboarding hub, but one of the things that we can do is we can create an onboarding hub with checklists and training as well. We'll see in just a little bit, we actually have a document library in the form of a onboarding template that we can apply. We also want to be able to just make sure that the policy and the benefits, that they're actually searchable. You can get information on the policy and benefits within a secure environment. So you need to be able to log in to be able to see the information. And self-service forms. A really well-written HR page has a lot of self-service. So time off, expenses, reviews, everything should be there for you. So you don't have to go digging through your emails or searching endlessly through a website trying to find information. Another big one is this could be an employee directory with metadata filters. Metadata filters are really just column, data that's collected in columns that you can further analyze and filter the data out there as well. So we'll cover custom columns. We'll cover custom list views there as well. Here are some of the benefits. So we want to be able to access information quicker, and we want it to be accurate. We want to reduce repetitive inquiries. So instead of emailing me all the time for information, here is the repository for the information that you're looking for. And of course, we want stronger compliance security. No need to go ahead and share out links. Everyone will be able to access what they need to access and be able to see what they need to see. So go ahead and plug in your department, HR department. I've had companies that wanted to create a site for the library. So a medical company that I was helping, they had a library and they wanted to create a website for the actual library. So I helped them to create a SharePoint site for the library, and they had a lot of information that they wanted to disseminate. So just plug in your responsibility and take a little bit of time and just think about a really good use case for building a SharePoint site. Now, before we actually dive in and start building or creating a site, I do want to pause because depending on the type of setup that you have, you may be able to build your own site. You may have been given the permissions to actually create a site from scratch, or it's very common that the SharePoint admin or support team makes it so that you have to request a site. So just in terms of governance, they just want to make sure that that process is not falling into the hands of someone who's not trained on using SharePoint. So the first thing you need to ask is, well, do I have the permissions to build a site, or is there a company policy, or really, what is the company policy? Do I need to go ahead and request one? Who do I speak with? Before you even do that, though, the first question you should ask is, does a site already exist for this purpose? So remember, in this case, I want to go ahead and build an HR site because we don't have one. So in that case, we don't already have a site that exists that's storing information such as benefits, the employee handbook, and things like that. So we do want to go ahead and create one in this sense. A lot of times a site is requested and then you're told, oh, we already have a site for that. So there's really no need to go ahead and actually create that site. So make sure you ask that question first. The next thing that I would recommend you do is to contact your SharePoint admin or IT support. And make sure you follow the company protocol. So if you do have the capability to request or to build a site, there needs to be some type of protocol in place. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you follow that. Typically, the protocol is before you actually create or request a site, you need to answer a few questions, such as what is the name of the site? What is the business purpose? If it does not serve a business purpose, you may not need to create the site. Who are the owners? It's a good idea to have more than one owner of the site. If you're just the sole owner and you're on vacation and you're kind of, disconnected, no one else can do anything. Who are the members? So what type of site is this? Is it collaborative? It will behave like a Microsoft Teams channel. There's a lot of back and forth, a lot of members, a lot of edit access, a lot of exchanging of information. Or do you want it to be a portal? You'll have few members, many guests and visitors. Your guests and visitors, they can view information but not make any changes. And another one as well is this going to be an external facing site? Do you want to be able to share outside of your organization, or is this just meant for internal communication? So these are just a few of the questions that you should ask before you actually start building out your site. Welcome to lesson 1. We'll take a look at creating custom sites. Now, before we create a custom site, you need to plan, prepare, test, and publish. So we'll go through that process. Now, the first part we already kind of talked about planning. Does a site already exist? What is the business purpose? What is the company protocol? The next big part is preparing for your site. And this is where a lot of work takes place. Typically, you would sit down and speak with your co-owner or your contributors, your designers, just trying to figure out, well, what do you want your site to look like? Maybe you've already seen another department site and you want to go ahead and mimic that as well. That makes the process much more efficient. But one of the first things you need to consider is, well, what is the layout of the site? So we call that a wireframe. So wireframe is basically just how do you want the site to be laid out, right? So typically a site has a header, space, some type of navigation underneath it. And then from there, it's just about, columns and rows. So maybe you just want 2 big columns in one section, 2 big columns in a row. And so here's really cells, if you will. So maybe you can have an image in here or a file in here. You may want a single column for the next section because maybe you want some text in here. Right? So you can do that. And then for the next one, maybe you just want a bunch of buttons that can be clicked on. So you need to go ahead and just kind of grab a piece of paper or any type of drawing app, and you're just going to kind of map it out. You're going to go ahead and draw it out and see how you want it to look like. And that's pretty much it. So that will be the wireframe. So this does take some time. Now, one thing to note, we do have templates. So that may take a lot of the work away from you. You may decide, you know what? I like one of these Microsoft templates, or if your SharePoint admin has placed templates in the site creation process, you can use one of those templates. So we'll actually take a look at a template before we actually start building one. We'll actually build 2 sites. One will be from a template, and we'll create one from blank as well. But the first thing you need to do is go ahead and create the wireframe. The other thing you need to consider is you want to make sure you have everything ready. Any logos that you're going to be using, make sure you have them readily available. They can be in a single file, in a folder on your computer, or typically on another type of cloud storage. Any banners you're going to be using, and the big one is the branding kit. So more than likely, you need to stay within the branding parameters of the organization when you're creating the actual site. That is something that can be controlled from the hub as well, or your SharePoint admin, just making sure that whatever page you create, it does inherit the branding from a template, if you will. So that's one thing that we can do. Another one is, well, again, do you want to use a template or do you want to start from blank? Does a template already exist for what you need? In this specific case, well, we're going to see an HR template already exists. So we can just use that one. And it does require work though, because we will need to reprogram all of the current content that's on the page. Another big thing that you want to make sure that you have in preparation is links and resources that your buttons are going to point to. You want to make sure you have those readily available so that you can just go ahead and program them instead of searching and trying to work backwards. So make sure you have everything available there as well. And what do you need? Do you want to incorporate libraries, document libraries, forms to collect data, lists to manage data, etc.? So we need to think about all of these different things before you actually start creating the site. So take a little bit of time, go through the process of creating your wireframe, gathering all of your logos, your banners. Go ahead and grab the branding kit and explore the templates. We'll do that next when we come back. So go ahead and just answer these questions here and make sure you have everything in the same place and come right back. I'm ready to go ahead and create my site. I'm on SharePoint Home, and from SharePoint Home, you can go ahead and click on Create a Site. So I'm going to click on Create a Site, and I will have a really nice wizard that I can use to actually walk through here. So I'll go ahead and click on Create Site. And the very first fork in the road is going to ask you, what type of site do you want to create? Do you want to create a team site? Right. So this is behaves more like a Microsoft team collaboration, right? Lots of members being able to publish content, or communication site, right? So more of a portal, subject focused. And you have many site visitors. So this is very important. So very few content authors, and you have many site visitors. So this one, you're just disseminating information, very few opportunities for your members to actually upload content or manage content as well. So I'll go ahead and choose communication site. And you'll see two tabs at the top here. From Microsoft, these are updating constantly, or from your organization. So if your organization, if your SharePoint admin is placing the templates in here, you can simply use one of these. Or if you're able to, you can see some from Microsoft. Now, I'll just kind of scroll through a few of these here. So here's a generic department. So if you just want to create one for a department, we have a department one here that you can use. If you're scrolling down, right, here is human resources. I'll go ahead and click on this. And what's really nice is you can click on it. You can, kind of poke around to see if this is something that you really, really want. So on the left, here are the details of this particular template. You can see it works well right out of the box in terms of just the content. So you can see this one has, so here is the navigation. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have the home page, and then we have 4 sub pages, and we have different what's called web parts on here. And now I can scroll down on the right. You can see, so this is a really nice design. And basically what this is, we just kind of take a look at the structure of it. This is what's called a 2/3 left column, taking up 2/3 of the column. And this is 1/3 right. Right. So really nice design. If we scroll down a little further, we can see just some more clickable actions. So a lot of clickable actions here that we can use. This is really nice, really, really nice, simple, minimalist design here as well. So your members will appreciate the organization. So over here on the left, showcase information about compensation, highlight resources for learning and development, feature benefits, and share cultural priorities and values. So this comes with one home page, 4 additional pages. And look at that, I can preview the site. So I'll go ahead and preview it. And we can't really click around yet on previewing, but we do see the other pages. So here's the here is the home page, which we just saw. And if you were to click on the compensation tab here, it brings you to this page. Right? So nice big header, very minimalist design, some text here, a few clickable actions. Right? Some of these are personal, so these are tied to your login, whereas some of these are a little different. So these are just generic information. So I'll say that column on the left, my pay stub, that's for you alone, my deposit details, tax information, and then you have my rewards. So this is personal, and then annual bonus and compensation philosophy, those may be public as well. If you scroll down, some quick FAQs, right? So just information. Here is the career page. So this should list career opportunities. Again, nice consistent theme, nice header. This is a hero. We'll take a look at this web part later on. And here we go. So here's a quick links web part there as well. Text. So really nice. And then here is the benefits page. Again, consistent layout. We can see here, right? It's 4 columns, text, image, text, text, image, text. So really, really nice layout. Everything is nice and just really appealing. And then we have the culture page, right? So a lot of information in here as well. Articles, blogs, things that we can work with here as well. So really, really nice. So if you want to use this, you can just go ahead and click on use template. Just keep in mind, once you do that, you would need to program all these buttons here. So there's quite a few that you would actually need to program. These are already programmed for us. These pages already exist, but all of these buttons down here, like all of these buttons here, you would need to program these. When you click on it, it goes somewhere. Down here, we would need to program these as well. So we'll jump into edit mode and we'll see how we can select an existing web part, click on a piece of the web part, and say I want, whenever I click on this link, I want to be able to jump to a particular page or a form or a document library. So that is what we'll be working with here as well. I'm going to go ahead and use this template. So I'll click on use template. I'll go ahead and give it a name, and I'll just call this human resources. Right. Then the site description, I'll just put HR portal. I'll go ahead and click next. If you did change your mind, you can change the template here, but I'll go ahead and stick to it. This will be in English, so I'll go ahead and click on create site. This will take a minute or two. So go ahead and choose that template, or choose another template if you will, and come right back. So we're still going through the process of creating a custom site. We took a look at some template sites that are currently available that may be a good starting point for us to be able to work with. Now, the important thing to make sure, whether we're working with a template site or whether we're building a site from scratch, it's important to make sure that we have all the links and the resources that we want things to point to. We want the containers as well. So any type of libraries, forms, or lists. So you'll most likely have a document that looks like this. So it's just a Word document. It's about 5 pages. And this kind of just shows the structure. So here's the home page. Here are the different sub pages and sections. So this is just an idea. We won't have time to go through every single clickable option in here, but this is just a good starting point just to kind of see what you want to work with. Lots of information in here. And even down here some of the content. So here's the intended banner, some icons that we can use as well. We can also use the designer, but you do want to make sure you have the logo, the banner, any type of icons that you want to be able to use, anything that's related to branding. So again, more than likely you will be working from a branding kit. But it's important to make sure that you actually have the structure and the wireframe of the page. Now, one thing that we can do is we can use an existing template. So again, maybe you've seen another department website within the organization and you feel like, you know what, that's a good one. We can go ahead and mimic the one that we have there as well. So that's a possibility. I actually like the layout of this one. The only thing that I would do is put a nice big banner up here. I'll get rid of and I'll just kind of move things around, but I always like this type of setup, right? So image and text, 3 columns are always very, very, very elegant and minimalist. So I like that as well. I do also like the option of having the quick links down here. So if you're working with, if you do choose a template, you do have to go into edit mode and you do have to kind of move things around and program things. So right now, for example, if I click on take the employee poll, it doesn't take me to a poll. It takes me right back to home. So all of these buttons here, until we actually program them, when you click on them, it's just going to bring you right back to this page. So we'll just kind of take a look at the design, and we want to focus on creating a site from scratch, but we'll just take a look at this template and kind of learn how this was constructed. What are these different types of web parts? What are they designed for? So the first thing I'll do is I'll click on edit mode here. And once I click in edit mode, you can see I'm now in content management mode. And this behaves just like any other modern content management web service when you're building a website. So the whole idea is you don't have to write any code. Everything is drag and drop and everything is interactive. So we can see that we have a section here. So this is one entire section. We can kind of see the outline here. Sorry about that. Try and draw that again. There we go. Right, so that's one section. So this section has, I'll go ahead and close the toolbox. We don't need that right now. So just as far as the layout, here's a section. And in this section, we have a web part that's called a hero. So here's the hero web part. Each web part has its own properties. If I click on it, you'll see a small tool appear at the top here. And this is where I can go ahead and edit the properties of this web part. If I click on edit properties, it opens on the right and you can see this is a hero. And here are the different options for the hero. This is it's either carousel, tiles, or layers. So this we have tiles. And I can add more. So right now we have one for take the employee poll and one for interviewing here as well. Now, if I were to click on take the employee poll, I expand the properties of it further. I can change the image if I want to. I can go ahead and change the header. And what I want to do is, this is pretty much what you'll find yourself doing. You're going to be programming these different clickable objects that are on the actual page. So I'm going to include a show call to action link. So it says click here. And I'm going to make sure that when this is clicked on, it takes you to the actual poll. So actually you have the poll right here. So I'll go ahead and just paste it in here. So there's the link to the actual poll. So it's a form. And there you go. And that's pretty much it. If I want to add some more details in there, that's perfectly fine. I'm okay with the image. I'll leave the image as is. And I'll go ahead and let's see. I'll just go ahead and I'll preview it. So I'll click on preview. So this is really nice. You can preview it before you actually launch it. Now let's see if this works. If I click here, it does take me to that employee satisfaction survey or that poll. So we're good to go there. Here's what it looks like on the mobile as well. So again, we're in preview. Always looks really nice on the mobile. Okay, so I'll go back. So what I just did by clicking on a web part, going into the properties and editing the properties, especially if you wanted to be able to navigate to somewhere, you can access the actual link portion of that web part. Now, if I were to click over here, so these are quick links. So if I click here and I click on edit properties, and let's see if I can actually click on this one. 1 second here. Here we go. So lots of little clicks in here. So this one is specific to this particular quick link. So if I click on edit, here's the link that is going to, you can see it's going right back to that home page. So you would need to have all of these. Maybe this is a document that you want to be able to link to. And you would just grab the link and program it. And I would just change it here. So all these things will need to be just kind of set up. You can also reorganize things. So if you wanted to maybe move these quick links down to the bottom, or maybe move this section up to the top, you can go ahead and do that as well. All right, so I can move the entire section. Maybe I want this to be up here. Let's see if I can do that. I'm probably better off doing it, moving this section here. Let's see. So I'll move this one down. Sometimes it's easier to move down than to move something up. So I'll move this down here. And there you go. So just like that, I was able to just kind of reorganize the page. So we have our 3 big buttons here to click on. We have our quick links on the right. And then down here, we have some more clickable options here as well. Down here, so again, these are quick links as well. So kind of the same thing, same type of properties. And down here, this is the people web part. And this basically allows us to add people from the global address list. So here's some contacts that we can actually use. This may be beneficial when we actually create the site. Once you're done, here's a call to action. A call to action is just a button with a nice image and a clickable icon that you can use as well. So if I were to click on here, here's the call to action. We have a link, we have a button, and we also have the background image in here as well. So again, you would just need to go ahead and program all these and move things around. You may not want some of these web parts. If you want to remove one, you can simply just click on it and you can actually just delete it. And that saves a little bit more space there as well. So feel free. I would encourage you to add a template, go into edit mode, just click around and familiarize yourself with the different types of web parts and each property for there as well. I'm going to go ahead and republish. Once I republish, this is now live. So any changes that I've made, for example, now I can click here and this brings me to the actual form. So go ahead and insert a template, go into edit mode. And when we come back, we're going to dive into creating a website from scratch. Let's continue working with our template. So here's my HR template. Now, typically you'll see a pop-up on the right that just kind of gives us some of the next steps that we need to perform here. The first thing I like to do is just click on Site Access and assign a co-owner. I've already done so. You can see I've already given Adele full control. So now we have 2 owners. We have Nestor and Adele. If I want to add another one, I can simply just type here. And I can assign a role to Miriam. So maybe Miriam is an editor or Miriam has full control. Well, I'll go ahead and give Miriam full control as well. And I'll just say control. I'll go ahead and click on share. And there you go. So now we have 3 co-owners. We need to meet on a regular basis and discuss how we want to manage this particular site. Later on, we'll go ahead and add our members and then our visitors. But we do want to get things set up first because right now, even though these navigation items are working, the compensation is already programmed to go to the compensation page, and career and benefits and culture. We can see the edit button as the owner, so we can move the navigation items around. But for right now, the main thing that we need to do once we're using a template is we need to program all these web parts. So here's a hero web part. And when I click on it, you can see it's not really programmed to go anywhere. It's just going back to the home page. If I click on Find My Tax Forms, it does the same thing. So we need to go ahead and program these. And that's why it's good to have all these links readily available so that you can just go ahead and set them up. So once we take care of one, we'll be able to take care of the rest. So the first thing I want to do is go into editing mode, and this will open up content management for me. And this will allow me to take a look at the properties of this hero web part. And I can manage this, so I can make it so that when you click on it, it actually links to some type of a poll. It says take the employee poll. I'll go ahead and click on edit. So here is the content management. I'll go ahead and close the toolbox for now. I don't really need this right now. I'm working with existing web parts. I don't want to add any others right now. So I'll close this to get this out of the way. Now, when you move around, just a quick recap, this is content management. So you can create sections. Sections can have their own amount of columns and rows. And in those columns and rows, or those cells, you can add different web parts. So if you move to the bottom of an existing web part, you can go ahead and add a web part. So here is another web part that I can add. Well, this is a hero. I know this is a hero because when I click on it, it says hero, or if I hover over it rather, it says hero on the top right. And every web part comes with its own properties. So if I click on here, you'll see the properties appear here. I'll go ahead and click on edit properties. I can also do it right here. So I'll click on edit details rather. And this brings me right to this specific part of this hero. So basically this hero consists of two parts. So we have the, take the employee poll and we have the interviewing. It's tiles. And we only have 2 tiles in here. So if I want to add more tiles, I can do that and add a link, or I can, convert it to something else if I want to. Right now, I don't want to do that. Just go ahead and delete that. So I want to focus on this particular one here. It says take the employee poll. I already have an employee poll here, and I did copy the link to the clipboard. So I'm going to go back and simply just want to go ahead and program this and test it out. So I'll go ahead and scroll down, and I do want to show the call to action link. And here's the link. I'll go ahead and paste the link to the actual form right there. And I can have a call to action text. So I can say, let's say, click here. And that's it. So I'm pointing to exactly where I want it to go when I click on it. Each web part is going to have its own properties and or settings. The hero has quite a few in here. You can see, you can change the image, you can add more text. I want to go ahead and give it a test. Before I republish it, let's click on preview. So it saves my changes for me automatically. So I'll go ahead and click on here. And there you go. You can see it takes me to the actual form, which is pretty cool. All right. So that is working well. Here's the mobile experience. So if I click here, takes me to the form as well. So that looks pretty good. Again, this is a hero, so we have a little carousel or just 2 tiles so you can navigate back and forth. I'll go back. And what I want to do is go ahead and republish it. And what we just did, we're just going to rinse and repeat for the different clickable items or content that we have on this particular page. For the sake of time, I'm not going to do every single one of them, but we'll take a look at least one for each web part so we can see what the properties looks like for each of these different web parts in here. The other web part here, this is a quick links web part. So you can see really nice. We have buttons in here that we can control. Right. Down here, this is a single image. This is text, text, text. So 3 images and 3 text. Again, they all come with their own, their own properties. Down here, this is quick links as well. And if I click on edit properties, you can see this quick link is designed for buttons that we can click on. We have others, grid, tiles, list, film strip. You can see there are a lot of options here. This is a really nice use of the quick links. Quick links over here as well. Down here, these are the people. So this is the people section. We'll visit these one by one. But right now, we just have 3 layouts, small, medium, large. If you want it to be animated, you can do so. And then down here, we have a call to action. So a call to action is basically a button with some more details for the person that's actually interacting with it. So here's the label. Here's the link that it goes to. Again, you can point to anything you want to. And here's the alignment, center, right, or to the left. For now, I'll go ahead and republish. We'll come back and we'll go ahead and program out the other buttons as necessary. I'll go ahead and click on republish. And now, once I click here, I'm live. It takes me right to that poll. So I am good to go. It does show me when it was last published. So I am good to go. So go ahead and create a quick poll and go ahead and point that first hero to that poll. Let's go ahead and create a site from blank. I'll go back to SharePoint Home, because from SharePoint Home is where you can actually create a site. So I'm going to create a site. And what I want to do is I do want a communication site. And I want to start with a blank site. So all the way on the bottom left, you'll see blank. So I'll go ahead and click here. And I'll go ahead and use this template. It just comes with a single home page with a single navigation. I'll click on Use Template. And I'm going to call this one HR Portal. And for now, I'll just put HR Portal. Now, depending on your organization, you may have some nomenclature that you need to use in terms of creating a site. So make sure that you figure out what that policy is as well. I'll go ahead and click Next. It's English. I'll go ahead and create the site. I'll pause, and once it's launched, I'll come back. Here's my site. So it just comes with a home page. We do have a document library, which is good. Let's see, is this document library up and running? Yep, it is. So we just have a basic document library in here. And then we have some other things that we'll take a look at here as well. What I'll do now, I do have some content that I want to add to the document library. So I'll just go ahead and upload them for now. I'm going to click on let's see, I'll go here and I'll upload some files in here. So again, at this point, you want to go ahead and add any material that you want to be able to, anything that's clickable, like a document, a PDF, or a Word document, you want to go ahead and upload that. So I'll go ahead and add those now, and then I'll come back once they're all uploaded. So here we go. So I just have a few images in here, a few different, I need to rename this as handbook. So this is handbook. And typically what you would do here is you would most likely, because this is a portal, our members are going to be referencing material. So typically we would convert these into a PDF, into more of a PDF form to make it easier for everyone to be able to work with as well. All right, so I'll go back to home. So I do have those kind of parked in my document library. And here's where I just want to go ahead and do a little bit of design. So what I would like to have is a nice big banner here. So I want a nice big banner, and then some text. So just one section, one column here, and this will just be text. And then down here, I want, 3 big buttons and text that I can work with. And then down the bottom, what I would like to have are some quick links. So these will be some clickable actions that I can use. So just nice and simple, right? So we have our banner here, and then we have kind of our welcome message in here that we can use. And then we have different buttons that we can click on to bring you to different resources, maybe the employee handbook, maybe the summary of benefits, maybe the HR contact list. And then down here, we'll have a good amount of buttons. Just for the sake of time, maybe I'll just add about 3 or 4 buttons here that we can click on and actually access content. And that's it. So we'll just have a really nice page, and we'll take a look at the tools that are available that kind of helps us to do this. But before I do that, what I like to do is click on these settings here. And once you click on settings, you want to go ahead and change the look. So if I click on change the look, this will allow me to just kind of change the overall, first of all, the theme. So here are the different themes that are available. I do like this current theme, but I can probably change it here to this bluish type of theme. So I'll go ahead and change that. I'll go back. As far as the header, different types of headers that we can use. So here's a minimal header. You can see it just allows us to see more content on the page. Here's compact. Here's the standard header. And then we have the extended header. So it separates the logo from the actual header. Right? So just different ones. We'll come back to this once we add the banner. And then we have the design as well. So a lot of options in here. More than likely, you'll be working from a template from the hub site. So more than likely, you probably won't be able to make these changes. They'll probably be already integrated for you. You can add an image there as well. We also have the navigation. So as far as the navigation, you can hide the navigation pane. Right? Maybe, why would you want to do that? Well, maybe you just want to have buttons that you can click on instead of using the navigation. You can do that. And then once you have different subpages, you can have a cascading effect. So if you hover over, for example, documents, maybe it has several document libraries, you'll get a cascading effect in there as well. And then we have the footer, right? So the footer is always on the bottom of the page, any type of content that you want down there as well. But it makes sense to come back to this after we've edited the page. So I'll go ahead and click on edit here. So let's go into edit mode and let's just set up the actual structure of the page. Okay, so right here, we have the first section. So we actually have two sections in here. So here's section 1, section 2. I do want another section on the bottom, so I'll go ahead and add one more. And this last section is just going to be one column. And in this section, what I would like is quick links. So here's the quick links. So I'll go ahead and add that. Now, if you take a look to the right, you'll see the design ideas, which is pretty cool, just like in PowerPoint. So right now, everything is just kind of plain black and white. If I click on design ideas, this will give me some design ideas for this particular section. So here are my 4 quick links, and here's some really nice ideas that I can use. I don't want images though, I just want it to be simple. So I'll probably just go for this one. Right? So just some nice quick ones in there as well. Okay, the other section, so this section is going to be, let's see what we have here. Let me close the designer for now. And I'll go ahead and click on this section. Let's take a look at the properties of this section here, because what I would like to do in here is to, let's see, I'll put 3 columns. So I'll convert this to 3 columns. So here's web part 1, web part 2, and web part 3. So what I'd like to do here is to add a new web part in column 1. And let's see, I'll go for, well, let's see what design has for us. Let's check out the design. Maybe able to save some time here. And this is actually what I'm looking for. I'm looking for images with text on the bottom, just like we saw from our template earlier. So this is going to save me some time. I can just use one of these. And let's see more ideas. And these all look okay. I'll go for this one for now. So I'll click here. It's really big though, so I may want to come in and just make some simple changes. I don't necessarily, and that color is really dark. But now I'm just setting up the structure, right? And then up here, this is going to be text. So I'm just going to add a single text web part in here. There we go. All right, very good. Let's see what the design gives us. So headline, so I can put a nice headline in there if I want to. So I'm good to go. So structurally, I have the text, which will be the welcome area. I have 3 big buttons here that I can click on. Maybe the employee handbook, summary of benefits, and HR support contacts. And on the bottom, I have more quick links that I can use to actually point to things here as well. So the structure of my page is set up. When I come back, I'll go ahead and add my text. I'll program these buttons, and I'll go ahead and fix the banner as well. So go ahead and finish up and come right back. Welcome back. Let's go ahead and add a banner. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new section at the very top. And I want this to be a full width section. Now, once I choose this, it's going to give me some options here. I do want a banner. So I'll go ahead and click on banner. And now you can see I have a nice big banner there at the actual top. So I want to work on the banner. Let's see if I can get some design ideas for the banner. Let me go ahead and first add the title in here. So I'm going to go ahead and call this HR Portal. And let's see if, after I type that, let's see if I get any more design ideas for the HR Portal. Okay, so we're getting some hits in here. So again, just to kind of show that the designer is kind of helping us here. But if I want to, I can just go ahead and add my own image. So to do that, I'll click on the actual banner, and right here I can browse the image. Now, first of all, I can choose the type of banner that I want. So if I click on the fade here, we have image and title. So this will place a nice image behind it. And you can see here the image integrations. More than likely, you're going to be seeing an image and title. Here's plain. And then we have a color block. Takes up a lot of space. And then we have the overlap. Okay. So I'll keep it simple. I'll go for either fade or image and title. Let's see, I'll go for image and title. And I don't want this detail here to be there, so I'll just close that. I'll remove the profile from there. All right, that's not necessary. All right, so we have the HR portal. I'll go ahead and click on the properties of the banner. So again, a little repeat of what we've seen so far, the image and title. Here's the fade effect. So we can kind of see how that works here. So as far as the image, I need to go ahead and select the image. I do want to center align the content. So I'll choose center. And let's see, I don't want to show the publishing date. And that's pretty much it for the banner. I just need to go ahead and change the actual image. So I'll go ahead and click on Browse Images. Now, when you are managing content like this, you may, right? So if you're working with recent images, they'll actually show up here. You can search for stock images from Microsoft. You can search the web as well. If your organization has let's say a SharePoint container that has images that you can use for banners. I've worked with organizations. They do have preset banners and logos to use to stick to branding. You'll see an option in here that you can click on. But for now, let's see if this will work for me. I'll use this image. This is just an image that I uploaded recently into that document library, and it's already kind of found it, and it's pointing to it for me. So that actually looks pretty good. From now, I'll just go ahead and copy and paste the text that I have for the actual portal. Okay, so I already have some text. I'll just go ahead and paste it in here. Okay, so again, these are typically, you already have this detail in here. And again, you can use the design ideas to kind of keep you within the theme and the colors in here. All right, so let's see, I'll go for this one. Okay, so here's my header, here's my banner, here's my welcome. If I scroll down here, here is my other section. So now down here, what I want to do is I do want to change the images. I do want to change the actual headlines in here as well. So this one, just going to call this one benefit summary. So you can type right here, or you can open up the actual properties of the, you can go into the more options, or you can go into the properties of this actual web part if you want to. But for here, I'll just go ahead and just call this benefit summary. Right, for the second one here, this is going to be employee handbook. And again, we just want to be able to point to those different resources. It's going to be HR support and contacts. There we go. And at this point, I just want to go ahead and copy and paste the text that I already have in my planning document. Okay, so there we go. So this is why it's important to make sure you already have this ahead of time. Right, so I just have a secondary document, that Word document, that has all the details. And there you go. So we have some nice options here. And what I would like to do is change the images down here as well. But I'll go ahead and move down to the quick links. So just want to focus on structure first, and then we'll, get more granular. So for the actual title, so this will be a button. Let's see, I have 4 buttons here. This one is going to be, let's see, the first one, I'll scroll down here, and I want this one to be, let's see, what text do I want here? All right, so I'll click on this one, and I'll click on edit here, and here's my title. So this one will just be request time off. So this will take you to a form or some type of app that you can click on and request time off. Right. The second one here is training and certification. So this will most likely point to a page that's dedicated to learning. There's actually a document library for learning, so we can actually use that. Okay, so this one will be job openings. This will lead us to a page that actually has job openings. And let's see, we have one more. This one will be to submit expenses. All right, so submit expenses. So again, just setting up the structure. And there we go. So what have we done so far? We have a nice banner at the top that we can use. We have a welcome section. We have another section here, images and text. We're going to make these clickable. So that actually brings you to these documents referring to benefits, the handbook, and HR support and contacts. Then we have some quick links down here. So you can request time off, access training and certification, view job openings, and submit expenses as well. So from a structure standpoint, we're good to go. We just need to come back in here and clean up, maybe change some of these colors. We'll use the designer to get a more consistent theme. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of cleanup here. Let's click on the banner and let's see if we can get some more design ideas in here. Not really too fond of, this page is pretty dark, a lot of dark colors. I'll prefer a lot of white space in here. So let's see, we have I think I like this one a little better. Maybe I'll use this one. Let's see. Or maybe I'll just change the banner altogether. Not sure I like what I see here. Let's see. Okay. Let's see, this one, that's too dark. This one, okay, that's fine. Let's see what ideas we get for this section. I think what I'll do is I'll just make this part bold. I do want this to stand out a little bit. So I'll make make it look like a heading in there as well. So it looks a little better. Okay. All right, I'll scroll down here. And let's see if we can get some lighter color options. So here we go. This looks a lot better. I'll go for this one. There you go. So that kind of just makes the page look a little better. Okay, so I could change the images if I want to. Again, I can click on it. And if I already have the images available, you can just click on Browse Images right here. And there's no recent images that kind of meets that description. If I click on Stock Images, you can do that here as well. So let's see if I click on Search for Benefits. It's going to be difficult to find something from the stock. But if you wanted to change them, you can change them here, right? So you can use a stock image, or if you have something on your OneDrive, or you can search the web for something here as well. All right, but I'll just leave them here for now. What I want to do is program the benefit summary. So I'll go ahead and I'll click on this web part here. And as far as the hyperlink, so this is the benefit summary. Where do I want this to go? I want this to navigate to the actual document library. So what I'm going to do, I don't have the link yet, but let me just double check one more place. Let's see. No. Okay. Well, what I can do is just get the link. So I'm going to duplicate this page. Let's see if I can duplicate this. And just want to go back to SharePoint. And where's my portal? Okay, it's not showing up yet. That's fine. All right, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and republish. Okay, so here's the republish page. Here's the banner. Here's the welcome message. And here's that 3-column section. And I need to go ahead and program these links. So we've planned our page. We've added our resources. We've designed the page in terms of layout. And we want to now be able to map all of these buttons to these different resources that we've created. Now you may notice a few of the resources that I created, they're not showing up here. So the document library is showing, the expense tracking is showing here, and employee onboarding. But remember, we created some other things in here. So if you want to be able to see any hidden content or pages or libraries or lists, you can click on Site Contents. So I'll go ahead and click here. And this shows you what we have. So you can see we have a few different document libraries in here, a few lists, and here's the training and certification. So maybe I want to grab the link for this one. I can click here. And here's the training and certification. I can go ahead and grab the link here as well. So I'll go back to home. And let's go back into edit mode. So I'll click on edit here. And let's just map these 3 buttons here. So for the benefits summary, what I can do is highlight it. And I'm going to click on the hyperlink here. You can also press Control K. And I already have the address here. And I do want to open this in a new tab. So once my member clicks on it, it opens up a separate tab for them. I'll go ahead and press save. And there we go. So now this is a clickable option here. For the second one, employee handbook, I'll do the same thing. And so let's see. So we can actually do a search in here, search pages on the site that match your search, but it's not relevant here. So I'll go ahead so this one is the employee handbook. So this, again, this links to the Word document in the document library. I already have that link readily available. I'll go ahead and press save. And we're good to go. Finally, HR support and contacts. So this one is going to link to that CSV or that Excel file that allows us to do that. I do want this to open in a new tab as well. I'll go ahead and press save. And there we go. So we have 3 quick ones that are up and running. Let's go ahead and preview it. So I'll click on preview. Let's see if this is working fine. Here's benefit summary. This brings us right to the actual document. So working pretty well. Employee handbook. So this is a big part of it, is just testing everything to make sure everything is working properly. And there as well. HR support and contacts. All right, so just some basics in here as well. So that looks pretty good. I'll go back. And now I need to go ahead and repeat the process for my quick links. Now remember, the quick links, a little tricky to work with. You have to kind of click inside of the actual quick link to get the edit option here. And now this is where, so the quick link, I do want this to point to a link. So I'll go ahead and change this. So this is request time off. So this one is going to link to the time off. So I'll copy that to the clipboard, and I'm going to go ahead and change that here. And let's see, we have recent items, recent pages. Let's see. Yeah, none of these is what I'm looking for. I'll grab it from a link. I'll go ahead and paste the link here. I'll go ahead and add that. Okay, so that goes to the time off for training and certification. I'll click on edit and I'll do the same thing here. And by the way, you can change these icons if you want to, right? You can use the designer to get some more. We'll use the designer after we program these. Maybe we can get some a better look and feel. But for the job openings, we'll go ahead and grab that here. Let's copy that to the clipboard. All right, so here are job openings. So same thing from a link. So here's the job openings. I'll go ahead and add that. Let's see, training and certification. Same thing. I need to change that as well. And I'll go ahead and from a link, we'll go ahead and add that. Some web parts are a little more intuitive. You can actually point to an actual page or a list. But for now, I'm just kind of going through it the regular way here. Okay, so for submitting expenses, again, same thing. And from a link, and I'll go ahead and add my expenses in here. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so here we go. I'll click add. And there we go. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and click on republish. And let's give this a quick test. All right, so here we go. Let's click on the request time off. All right, so it brings us to the time off. So that's working pretty well. So at this point, we'll just make sure everything is working well. We've already checked our buttons here. So we've programmed 7 buttons to link to different resources, right? So we are good to go. The next thing to do is to come back and just kind of clean up some of the visuals here. I don't like the different, the variations in color. I do like this section, a lot of white space. I think down here is fine. Maybe we can get some more details in terms of this as well. But for now, we are up and running. And if you want to add another page, you can go ahead and do so as well. But we're able to map those buttons to resources. Now, once you've pretty much finished with the design, all of your buttons are working, just a bit of cleanup. So I just went into the designer. I kind of changed the banner a little bit. I changed some of the colors. I changed the image placeholder for the employee handbook. I also used the designer to get just some more visuals down here for our quick links. So feel free to go into edit mode and just click on the designer. And then for each section, you'll get some quick design ideas in there. You may realize that you maybe want a better looking banner. I did remove the title because it was kind of redundant to have the title and then this here as well. Let's see, actually like this one. Let's see if this one will look a little better. Okay, it's not changing, so that's fine. All right. So just use the designer, kind of go through each section. So you'll be a little more hands-off. If you want to be more hands-on, you can, for example, change the images in here if you want to, the colors, the fonts. You can even change these individual icons here if you want to as well. The designer has kind of changed some of these for me for job openings and so forth and so on. But I'm good to go. So you can always choose a custom image for the thumbnail if you want to, or you can change it. So again, different web parts will have their different properties that we can actually edit here. But I'm good to go. I'll go ahead and click on republish. Make sure everything is working, everything is clickable, and I'm good to go. Now, the last thing we can do before we just kind of start adding our members here, we need to click on the change the look. So I'll click on change the look. And now we can go ahead and play around with the theme, right? So here's the actual theme. If you want to change it, you can go ahead and make some changes there. Just different highlights, accent colors. Here's the header space. So again, you can make it minimal, compact. Here's the standard and here's the extended. So you can see the extended takes up a lot of space, whereas the minimal kind of condenses everything for us there as well. I'll stick with compact. And as far as the design, you can click here as well. And you can change the actual theme here if you want to. You can see the theme is just really affecting the header space. Right? So if you want some more colors in there, you can feel free to do that. You can even add your own logo in there if you want to. So if you want to add the site logo, let's see if I can actually do that. I'll click on, so this will appear here. So I'll click on change site logo and let's see if I can use the shield. There we go. So now we have a nice shield in here that we can use and I'm good to go. I'll go ahead and press save. And go back into change the look. Let's click on navigation. And so again, you can turn off the navigation. Again, if you already have buttons on here that you can click on, you can do that, but you may want to show the navigation. And then we have the actual footer that we can use as well. So these are different things that you can do. You may also want to edit. So you can also edit the navigation. So maybe I changed my mind. I don't want to show the employee onboarding and the expense tracking. I can do that. I can simply just remove it. It doesn't remove the actual content. It just hides it from the actual view. So I can do this. You can even rearrange things so you can move them around if you want to. And I will hide the site contents though. So I'll go ahead and click here and remove that. And I'll go ahead and press save. I'm good to go. So here's my new simplified navigation. All right. Well, the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and click on I'll click on site access here. And I do want to add another co-owner. So I'll go ahead and add Adele. And maybe I want another one here as well. I'll add Grady also as actually, you know what? Just to test, Adele will be read, Grady will have full control. So Grady will be, I'm gonna remove Adele for now. So Grady will be my co-owner. So if I'm not there, Grady will be able to kind of just manage the page as I'm not there as well. Typically here, you would add your designers as well, and anyone else who's contributing to the actual site. For example, managing the document libraries, building the lists or the forms or the page templates for you. You want to add them here. You want to make sure everything is ready before you actually start adding your actual members. So your members will be viewing the content. Again, this is a portal, so more than likely you'll just have read access. I'll go ahead and send that message out to Grady, and we are good to go. So the next thing we'll go ahead and take a look at. So just go ahead and put the finishing touches on your site. Make sure everything works, test it out. And when we come back, we'll move on to lesson 2. We spent a lot of time here in lesson 1. we'll take a look at how we can improve the document library and any other resources that we've added. Welcome back for lesson 2. The main thing to know is that as a designer or owner, you want your members to be able to interact with dynamic and modern content. So we've created a nice basic minimalist page that is functional. You can visit the page, you can clearly see and find what you're looking for. It's very simple. So we've actually gone through the process of just doing some planning here as well. So what we want to do now is we want to take a deeper dive. We want to take a look at the document library. We'll take a look at metadata. So metadata is just columns. So we can add more columns to a document library. Why would you want to do that? Well, so that we can collect more information. The more data that we can collect, the more analysis capabilities we will have, filtering, sorting, grouping. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that as well. And then we'll take a look and see how that will affect the actual search. So I am going to go back to my SharePoint site here, and we'll just focus on the document library. So I'll go ahead and click on Documents. So right now, this is the generic document library. So we have just a few columns in here. So the type, the name, the last time it was modified, who it was modified by. But then we can add some more columns in here. So maybe these will be for our HR team. So what are some columns that we may want to add in here? Well, maybe if it was approved or not, right? Maybe if it was approved, what stage it's in, right? Or who the actual owner of it is. So there's a lot of different pieces of information that we can actually add here. So we have two options when we're adding columns. We can either unhide some columns that are already there, or we can create custom columns. So let's go ahead and add a column here. Right. So let's see the hidden columns. So I'll click on Show or Hide Columns, and you can see there's a lot of columns in here. The check and comment will be important because, again, you would need to specify who can make changes to these documents. And as changes are being made, it will be a good idea to just kind of leave comments. So we'll turn on the check and comment in here. If you're using retention labels, you can apply them here as well, right? Such as public or private or internal. So you can do that. Sensitivity labels. So there's a lot in here that we can actually use. I just want to use the check and comment for now. So I'll go ahead and click on apply. I'll also go ahead and add another column. And this column will simply be a choice column. So I'll click next. And this is just going to be, let's say, well, what I would like to do is to specify whether this is in development or whether this is in production, right? So development, production, and maybe even beta, right? So I'll say beta, development, or production. And so I need to come up with a title for this. So maybe the title for this will be, I'll just call this, let's see, stage, if you will. I'll go ahead and click on save. And now we have more details, right? So is this document ready for production? Is it still in development, or is this, kind of in beta? Because again, the entire organization is going to be accessing these resources. So we want to make sure that it goes through the correct process of getting to actual production. So we have beta, we have development, and we have production. So that's one that we can do there as well. We can also move these columns around. So you can rearrange them if you want to, other things to work with. All right, so I'll add another column. This will simply be this will be a yes, no. And this will just be simply approved by manager. Of course, there's an actual approval process that we can set up that we've talked about in the introduction or beginner course. But I'll go ahead and press save here. So simple yes or no. So now we can go ahead and add details in here. And we can even add another column. So we can say a date and time column. And let's say proved on. And use the friendly format. I'll go ahead and press save. So you can see we're adding a lot of columns in here. So again, the more columns we have, the more capabilities we have to filter the data, search the data, and even analyze the data in here as well. So we can add other columns. We can rearrange the columns. Now, once you have columns in here, what you can do is you can go ahead and actually manage the data, right? So if I want to, I can go ahead and just start actually interacting with the actual data in here. So when my members come here, when they have access, if they want to be able to fill out these different fields, they need to click on Edit in Grid View. And this basically turns this into an Excel type of format. You have rows, columns, and cells. So for example, if I click on Edit in Grid View here, you can see I can click on a cell, and now I can choose the stage. So for the employee handbook, let's say this is in development. It's not really ready yet. HR contact directory is ready for production. Sometimes this happens. This is SharePoint, so there's a lot of syncing in the background. Just make sure it saves before you start clicking away too fast here as well. All right, so HR contact, new hire checklist. These are all approved by manager. So you can see the whole idea is we have these interactive fields that we can work with. Right. And once we have all of this data in here, we can start doing things like filtering and grouping. Right. Let's see. I'll say summary of benefits. This is also here as well. All right. So this is giving me some issues. All right. So I'll just choose a few: beta, and development. Going too fast. I need to slow down. Getting some issues in here. All right, so this will be, I'll put production. Just need to take my time and click here. All right, Shield is in development. Summary of benefits. I'll go for development as well. Once you're done, you can go ahead and just click on Exit Grid View. And you're good to go. So that's how we can populate those columns. The check-in comment comes in when you actually check out a file. So when you check out a file, when you check it back in, it will give you the capability to add the actual check-in comments. So go ahead and add a few columns to your document library and come right back. Now that I have some more columns in here that I can work with, what I can do now is I can go ahead and actually just start filtering and creating different list views. So there's several ways to actually interact with the columns. So a useful thing to do was, well, maybe you want to go ahead and just filter based on stage. We just want to see what's in production. So if I click on the stage drop down here, I can go ahead and either sort, I can group, and I can filter. So let's say I want to filter by, and I just want to see what's ready for production. And if I click apply here, it filters out the list for me. This only shows me my production items. Well, what I can also do is I can go ahead and save this as a view if I want to. So I can click on Save View. So the view is basically the filtered list here. So I'll go ahead and save this view, and I'll save it as, and I'll just call this production. I can also make this a public view. And what that means is if I make this public, it means that others will be able to use it, right? So other members will be able to see that view in the drop down. We'll see where this will appear in just a little bit. So I do want others to be able to access it. So I'll go ahead and click save. Right, and there we go. So you can see right here, it shows up. So here's the default, all documents. And right now, here is the production view. So if I want to go back to all documents, here's the unfiltered view versus the production view. So that's one way to do it. I'll go ahead and click here. Other things that you can do is maybe you want to go ahead and group, right? So I'll group by stage. And this is really nice. So it shows all of the betas versus all of the developments and all of the productions. So you can see how beneficial this will be as this document library fills up. Really nice way to be able to just analyze the data, just to be able to see what we're actually working with. Well, let's see if I can save this view. So let's click here. Let's see if I can save this grouped view. And I'll just call this one grouped. Let's see, group by stage. I'll go ahead and click save. And there you go. So we can see the different views over here. So we have all documents, group by stage, and productions. That's a really, really nice option. Depending on your monitor, you may see a lot of this content maybe over here to the right. So you can actually work with this list in here as well if you want to. So you can sort by here, you can group by here, and you can also change the actual cosmetic views, if you will. So if you're, I always like this view, but if you want to see, for example, a list view versus a compact list, and you want to see tiles, so tiles will show the preview of the first page of that particular document. So you can change those if you want to. I'll just go back to the auto fit height and I'm good to go. So what happens is now that we have all these different columns, when SharePoint is doing its search, now it's going to search this column and that column and that column. And now it's going to search also the check-in column, the stage column, the approved by column, and the approved on column. So now we've added some more columns that will be added to the metadata, if you will. And this allows us to do some more extensive searching and get more results based on stage and so forth and so on. So now we can include the language of these different columns into our search so we can get some more conclusive results. So that's really the benefit, another benefit, if you will, of adding more columns in here. So we can rearrange things, we can move things around, we can add more columns if we want to. Again, we need to just click on Edit and Grid View. And then we can also export to Excel. So if you click on Export to Excel, all it cares about are the columns, so the headers here, file names, and the different properties. So this gives you a little more capability to drill down into the actual what's happening with this actual document library. So those are just a few things that we can do when it comes to actually managing the content. So planning and configuring manage metadata, so adding more columns. What type of columns do we want to be able to add? And then being able to create different views, filters, grouping, and getting the data that we want to be able to work with as well. We do have other ones in here that we can use. We actually have different columns that you can use. If I click on Add Columns here, I can click on See All Column Types, and this is a little more advanced. So this will open up another page and you can add your own columns in here. So for example, you can add calculated columns where you can calculate something. We don't really have any numbers in here to calculate, but this unlocks more capabilities in here as well. So we have some logic in here that we can use. So here's the calculated column. So really, really nice. So very good. So go ahead and create a few different views. So start by filtering a column, save it as a view, maybe group by a column. Go ahead and save that as a view as well. You can also just click on Add View. And when you click on Add View, this will allow you to kind of set up the different type of view that you want. Calendar and gallery, they're not really relevant here. So, but you can just go ahead and set up a view, name it, and then go ahead and save it as you want to. But I find it better to just go ahead and just sort or filter or group, and then go ahead and just save that as an actual view. So create a few different views and come right back. Let's move on to part 3. So part 3 is about controlling access. So we've added our co-owner, we've designed the page, we've set up all of our resources, lists, libraries, forms, and we've mapped everything to those different resources as well. So once we've tested the page, everything looks good, we can start adding our members. So we'll take a look at assigning permissions. We'll take a look at managing permissions inheritance. And we'll also discuss when to reach out to admin. So if you're not a SharePoint admin, there's some things that you want to reach out to your admin to take care of because they're a little more complex. So I'll go back to the home page here. And what I want to do, so there's a few ways that I can add members to this site. If I click on site access, we saw that earlier, I was able to add Grady to give Grady full control as a co-owner. I can also click here on site members. I'm sorry, or I can add a group, or I can go ahead and add specific individuals and give them access here as well. I can also click on the settings icon and I can click on site permissions. Now, once you click on site permissions, you'll see, so I like to call this level 2. So you'll see that you have more capabilities here. So I can share the site, right? So again, just to review, site members versus visitors versus full control. I can also determine how I want members to be able to share. So this is a really big one here as well. We also have advanced permission settings. So this is more of a level 3. We'll take a peek in there to see what advanced permission settings are available. If I were to click here and change how members can share, I have a few options. So site owners and members can share files, folders, and the site. So people with edit permissions can share files and folders. I may want it so that only site owners can share files, folders, and the site. Again, this is a portal, so I don't want everyone to be able to share. So I'll go ahead and just click here. I'll go ahead and click save. And I can allow access requests. So if someone wants to access something that they don't have access to, it will trigger an alert and ask me to approve. I'll leave that on just in case. I'll go ahead and press save. And there we go. So only myself and Grady can actually share content from the actual page here. So we're good to go. All right, so I'm going to click on share site. Let's see what happens. We can see the same dialog box appears up here. So let's see if I can go ahead and search I'll add the entire group here. And let's see if I click on add. I do want everyone. Now, right here, we have read and we also have full control. Well, I don't want everyone to be able to edit. I just want everyone to be able to read. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this. And let's see under site visitors, we don't have anything here. I could assign everyone read and then change the permissions later on to visitor. But let's see if I click here on site access. Let's see if this will allow me to choose visitors. Okay, so we have read and we have edit as well, right? So I need to figure out how am I actually going to set this up. So let's see, I'll go ahead and just go ahead and share this out. Now I'm also part of this as well. So let's see how the permissions will actually work here. So I'll go ahead and click on share. So everyone is invited. And I'm going to go into site permissions. And you can see it's giving me site visitors. So even though it said that they have read permissions, it's saying that they have no control. So they can view site content. Now I can click here. Well, let's go ahead and give it a quick test. I'm going to go ahead and open. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'll click on Advanced Permission Settings, and let's see what this group can do. So I'll go ahead and click on Advanced Permission Settings. And this will open up a classic interface that looks more like Active Directory. And so here we go. So we have, right? So we have, so this is a portal. So portal members can edit. Portal owners have full control, and portal visitors have the read capability in here as well. So if I click on portal visitors, and you can see it's a little misleading, right? So when I added them earlier, it appeared as if they would have the same type of permissions with a communication site, but this is a portal. So it's a little different. So here's Contoso members. I'll go ahead and click on them here. So here's the actual entire domain for them here as well. All right, so we can see what's happening there. I'm going to go back. And so here again, so here are the different permission levels in here. I'll click on HR portal owners. So here are the two owners. And I'll go back. So we are good to go. Now, one thing that I can do is I can go ahead and just kind of check the different permission levels. So if I click here on permission levels, let's see what we get here. So this actually shows us, gives us a little more detail. We can see we have more permission groups in here. So we have full control. We have design. So again, you may want to add a designer to help you just to kind of manage the content. We have edit, which is very rare for a portal. We have contribute, so you can view, add, and delete. But then here's read. So you can see the read is a little different from a Teams site. So with the read permissions, you can do more than just view, right? If I click on read, this will actually show me the granular permissions that are allotted to this permission level. So here's the read permission level. And if I scroll down, here's what they can and cannot do with a list. Right? So list again is a document library. So they cannot edit, they cannot delete, they cannot add items, they cannot manage lists, but they can view, they can open, they can set up alerts for themselves. That's fine. That has nothing to do with security. They can view forms. And as far as site permissions, as expected, they don't really have a lot here that they can do, right? They can browse. So again, a lot of just basic levels in here. Now, if you want to kind of change the permissions for the entire group, you can come in here and you can make some exceptions. So maybe they can approve items, or maybe they can, right? So you do have the capability to do that. You would come in here, you'd make the changes, and you would click submit. Or the best thing to do is just to create another name, a specific name, and go ahead and click on submit. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel here. So let's just talk about different types of permission. So again, level 1, you just click on the site access, you add your owners, your members, and your visitors. For level 2, you can click on the gear icon and click on site permissions. This gives you a little more capability in terms of what you can actually do. And then level 3, if you need advanced permission settings, I would highly recommend you contact your SharePoint admin. Because what happens is when you assign permissions here, we have those permissions are through the entire site level. So for example, for Adele, if Adele comes to the site, Adele can only view. If Adele goes to the document library, those same permissions apply here. Cannot edit, can only view. Goes to another document library or template. So same thing. So the permissions are inherited at the site level. if you want to break the permission, so for example, if you want to give Adele more access to a specific document library, so overall Adele can view, but in this particular document library, you want Adele to have some more permissions, that is going to be breaking the inherited permissions at the site level. And that can be very, very problematic. So you want to reach out to your admin if you want to assign specific permissions for a specific resource. Now let's talk about improving security. We did touch on just managing access. We understand the concept of 3 levels of security. Now remember, you always have help. The biggest thing that you can do is to have a conversation with your stakeholders, managers, along with the admin team to figure out how you can improve security. The single best thing that you can do is to apply the concept of least privilege. So you'd rather provide as less privilege as possible so that you're not oversharing or exposing confidential data beyond what is necessary. So as an owner, you want to focus on managing access at the site level. So you use the resources that are available, you add your individual members, or you add a 365 group there as well. And then if you need to go beyond that, your admin can manage access at the tenant level. So we have another umbrella, if you will, in terms of how content can be accessed. Your admin can actually also help you with setting up just specific access, just based on your login, what you can see on the site, what you cannot see versus what your colleague can see based on the access that they have there as well. So this does require a conversation, or maybe 2 or 3, but it's important to have the conversation to improve security. You'll be identifying any security breaches, any anomalies that are happening. Sometimes things do happen. If I had a client dragged and dropped a file into a SharePoint library and it broke a lot of the permissions. So you want to just make sure that you are addressing them. And other questions that you can ask as well is, who can share? Is this site meant just for internal facing, to behave like an internal network or intranet? Is this an external facing site? A good practice is some corporations that I've worked with, they have a single site that's meant for external facing. And so anything that you want to share externally will go through that particular site, right? Also, who can share and what can they share needs to have a big conversation as well. Now, just in terms of SharePoint, again, do the best you can to just kind of remove anything that you don't want your members to be able to access. And remember, you, as the owner, you can click on these settings here, and you can always go ahead and click on the site contents. And so the site contents is hidden from your members view. So this shows you everything that you have. Here are the different site assets. Here are the site pages. We only have one page in here right now, but if you were to, for example, go ahead and create a new page, I'll just create one quickly here. So again, these behind the scenes items, these are things that you don't want your members to be able to see. And so you want to make sure that, that you don't allow them to do that. Actually, this is not what I wanted. I'm going to go ahead and want to discard this. This is not what I wanted. Let's see. I'll go back to the home page and just want to show you that this area, the site contents, is very, very important. So again, this is where you can hide things. This is where you can park things temporarily, and you can reveal them as necessary. So if I want to create a new page, and let's just say I'll just give about the team, and I'll go ahead and use this template. Okay. So we now have another page in here. I'm just going to publish it. And so you may want to go ahead and, for example, let's see, I'll just put our team in here. And I'll go ahead and click on publish. And okay, so I can add this to the navigation if I want to, which is perfectly fine. Now what I can do, if I go back into site contents, you'll see another page that exists here. And what I can do is view the different pages that are available. So for example, if I wanted to go ahead and make our team the default home page, I can do that. So if I click here, I can make this the actual home page. So this allows you to create different pages. You may want to create, for example, just a simple landing page, and you can make that the home page. So if I click on make this the home page, the next time I click on home, or anyone clicks on the link to come here, this is the actual landing page. Right? So again, these are things that you don't want your members to be able to access. I'll go back and reset this to the actual default home page. And now we are good to go. So I'll go back to home, and there we go. So we are good to go. Well, mission accomplished. We're able to plan and design a SharePoint site. We're able to add resources, lists, forms, document libraries, templates. And we're able to map those resources to clickable content on our page as well. So we're able to create a custom site template. We're able to manage content services. We're able to control access through permissions. Remember, there's 3 levels of permissions. And we're able to just kind of discuss some protocols for improving security as well. So that concludes our course. Hopefully this was helpful for you. We look forward to seeing you in another course.